Blank check with Griffin and David. Blank check with Griffin and David. Don't know what to say or to expect. All you need to know is that the name of the show is Blank Check.
Podcastia. Let's keep going. All right, I'm cutting you off.
From the pod we cast on this planet and blinking pod into the cast.
Keep going.
There's more to pod than cast ever be seen.
Okay, get out.
More to pod than can ever be cast.
Yeah, we get it that you use the words pod and cast.
There's far too much to pod in cast. More to pod than can ever be cast. But the pod rolling cast through the Sapphire podcast keeps pod and cast on the endless round. It's
Shut the
the
fuck up.
pod of the cast.
Shut the fuck up. Be quiet.
And it moves us all
It started out that I was enjoying it more than the movie. Now we're about equal.
through despair and podcast.
Despair, mostly despair. Good song, though.
Pod. I mean, I'll say that was the most emotionally activated I felt by the entire movie. Is just that needle drop is unbelievable.
It is.
The moment that kicks in and you just see the sun.
The sun, yeah.
I was like, what if I like this?
Interesting. I was...
For like half a second, I was like,
Okay.
what if this gets me?
Right.
You know?
It is good. I mean, but then I just immediately think of I'm just watching it right now. It looks so much better.
Pod.
Cartoon.
The cast.
God. Is there... Yeah.
What?
Is there any Disney movie that begins as like boldly as that?
No, you know what's cool too?
Because a lot of them have that mood-setting opening number. You know, right? You know what I'm talking about.
But I feel
But
like
this one, it's like, yeah.
here's the other thing. I feel like the other mood-setting opening numbers are kind of more like story songs.
Yeah, like, these are the daughters of Triton. Like
Right.
that one, you know.
And I feel like this one, the fact that it takes
Beauty and the
until
Beast is all plot.
the end of the song until we see our main characters.
Right.
I don't.
That's what I like about it.
I don't think the other ones have a mood-setting song like this.
But they're sort of like, right, we're easing you into the world. Here we are, right?
But it's like the fucking like Notre Dame starts with like Chopin saying like the Tales of Notre Dame, and he's like Clopin. I'm sorry,
right?
and he's like literally like.
How does Pocahontas begin? Because I'm remembering they're good ones, but yeah, how
So you and I disagree on the Pocahontas soundtrack because I think the Pocahontas soundtrack slaps.
Oh, you know what? Pocahontas begins with "Steady as the Beating Drum," which is good.
Yeah,
That's one of the better songs in Pocahontas.
Are you playing Steady as the?
This is one they'll never touch, right?
I'm sorry. You know what? It doesn't start with this because I think the opening of Pocahontas is the best thing. Pocahontas cold opens with Virginia Sailing Company, and you start on the boat,
Yeah,
and
right.
then it's the hard cut to this, and that's the first time you see America.
Yeah.
I think that's like incredible.
But they'll never remake that one, right?
I wouldn't put it.
That's
past them.
You wouldn't put it past them?
I wouldn't put it past them.
That is some tricky territory.
I guarantee you they have like, you know, the way like any proper like sort of medical lab has like a wing that's just trying to crack cancer 24/7. I guarantee you Disney has like a whole story wing that's just people being like, is there any way we can do it?
There's gotta be a way.
There's gotta be a way.
What are the remaining other films they have not?
How about the way is that they make the movie and all the proceeds go to Native Americans?
Yeah, well, that's not going to work for them.
Okay. Okay.
For Disney?
All right.
I mean, yeah, there were all these stories about how they've been underpaying the employees of their theme park so much. With the theme parks are the biggest money getter for them. That's like the cornerstone of their company. It's just like pure profit.
Insane.
And employees who work at the theme parks were like living in cars because they couldn't afford to live on the full-time salary There was like a woman who died of a heat stroke in her car who had worked as a janitor at Disney World for like 10 years.
Welcome to our Lion King episode,
Yeah,
by the way.
of course. Terrible stuff. And this summer, Disney attendance is down at both parks, way down from the usual summer standards, when they expected that they would be breaking attendance records because of
Galaxy's
Star Wars.
Edge, yeah.
And what happened is, I believe, this is not my theory alone, but I truly think this is the thing. They spent so much time hyping up how batshit crowded it was going to be.
Exactly. The people, you know what? I'll take that summer off.
They scared everyone off. And that coupled with the fact that they were like, only one of the two rides is going to be open. The other one opens in 6 months. I think people like myself were like, I'm not getting on a fucking plane until December.
Absolutely.
Which I should be someone who's going to be there fucking opening week.
Right.
They had done this once before. They like made these places like Disney.
We're here
Quest.
to talk the Lion King.
We're
Don't
here
get
to talk
into
about
deep
Disney.
lore. You're getting into park lore now.
Hey, you know who's a Disney head?
Oh.
Snooki.
Really?
Yeah. Have her on the pod.
She's welcome.
If we ever do Musker or Clemens, which we've been talking about more and more, it would be kind of cool to do because it's like the rise and
Maybe
fall of
she
the
wants to
Renaissance.
talk about that great mouse detector.
She was just talking about it in a recent
Wow.
episode. Like, just getting
Went to
back
where?
from Disney.
Oh, sure.
She's a
What's
big
the
Disney
other
head.
Disney park they did this? They overhyped that then like people
they had
stayed
these
away.
two things. It was they tried to make their own like sort of Discovery Zone, like kid, like Chuck E. Cheese style, and they overhyped how popular they were going to be, and the attendance was so fucking low. And Disney Quest was them trying to do a more like high tech interactive arcade, and the same thing happened. They've done this before, but they were previously always Eisner mistakes, and Iger hasn't made this mistake before. But they were spending so much time announcing to the press how they were going to handle crowds and being like, we got this figured out, that even someone like me was like, I'm not touching it for 6 months. What's Snooki's favorite Disney movie?
It's a good question.
I don't know offhand, but let's just start the conversation, see where it goes.
Yeah,
I'll
start it
find
up.
out. I'll find out.
Throw the ball to her. Here's an interesting thing.
Okay.
It feels more and more now like the Disney live-action remakes that work at the level that they want these movies to work are the Renaissance movies.
The box office wise, yes.
Yes, and it's a narrow pool that's going to get more and more shallow.
I'm gonna read you the list. This is what I wanted to. All right. So Snow White, they have not remade, right?
No, there were the two other ones.
There have been other Snow White and the Huntsman, Mirror Mirror, but those weren't Disney.
They have now announced that they're working on it, that they're developing it, that they hired a writer or whatever.
Sounds tricky.
I could imagine that they perhaps. I will say this: I think if the Maleficent sequel underperforms,
Maybe
I think
that gets back.
everything pre 1988 will get slowed.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. There's Pinocchio, which they are actively working on and has not yet gone into production, but they've been hammering away at that one.
Paul King was very close to making
Yes,
it. Chris
yes.
Weitz has been writing on it. That's public
Best
knowledge.
featured guest.
It's pretty cool when you're in a whale.
Yes.
True. All right. There's Fantasia. They did Fantasia 2000. I mean, I don't know if they're
And they
working
did The
on
Sorcerer's
Fantasia.
Apprentice.
Right. And they did The Sorcerer's. That's right.
The definitive live action adaptation.
Right. There's Dumbo. They did Dumbo.
Dumbo.
Didn't do that great.
Good movie.
There's Bambi. Yeah,
Yeah.
good movie. Kind of a good movie.
Yeah.
There's Bambi. I don't see
that feels
them.
like a nightmare for them.
I
to
don't
do.
know how they would possibly approach that.
Yeah.
Cinderella, they did that. Alice in Wonderland, they did that.
Yeah.
Peter Pan, they're not going to do that, are they?
Well-
Maybe. I mean, there's been, other Peter Pans because that's like public domain.
I don't know if I should say this on mic.
Well, all right then.
I know people have been trying to do Peter Pan at Disney, do the proper Peter Pan at Disney.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, fine.
I think they're fighting the uphill battle on it because
There's been a lot of Peter Pans.
that's the whole thing.
Because there's been like straightforward Peter Pans. And then there's been like Finding Neverland. Like there's been so many.
But you had Pan and Peter Pan both bombed.
Yes.
In the
Pan.
last
I forgot
15
about
years.
Pan.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So I think those two things scared them off. Although, Hook nostalgia is at an all-time high. But I think there are people who want to make a Peter Pan movie, and Disney is skittish about the idea of putting another one out there.
Right. There's Lady and the Tramp, which is going to be Disney Plus, correct?
Done in the can. Coming out.
There's Sleeping Beauty, which Maleficent is the take on that.
Right.
There's 101 Dalmatians. they did that with Glenn
Cruella.
Close, and they're redoing Cruella.
Craig Gillespie is doing a Cruella movie.
There's Sword in the Stone is also Disney Plus headed. Is that right? I think that was announced.
I don't know if they've 100% confirmed it, but I believe that's the idea.
I'm pretty sure that has been 100.
Hey, look, that's one for me where it's like you
Love
could
that
do
book.
a fucking
Love
cool movie off of that. Yeah.
Jungle Book they did. Aristocats. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, look.
We'll get to cats.
Yeah.
I don't
get to
know.
that.
I mean, is there an Aristocats remake to be done? I don't think so.
I think there is one to be done. I
Yes.
think in a world where the Cats movie wasn't made, I think now they wouldn't dare.
No, they should make a filthy version like The Joke.
Like The Joke?
The Aristocrats is what he's saying. I also think that Aristocats is not popular enough to put that much money into it. I don't think it has that kind of legacy.
I agree with you. I don't like that movie. Robin Hood.
I think it's weird because
Give it a shot.
I mean, here's what's tough about it. They're taking a human story and putting animals in it, which would necessitate them doing a weird, inhuman Lion King style thing, except all the animals in Robin Hood are fully anthropomorphized. They don't behave like animals at all.
Yeah.
So it'd be needlessly expensive.
Yeah.
And there have been other unsuccessful Robin Hood movies lately.
That's also true.
I don't think they do.
Well, if you bring in Taron Egerton and make it a sequel to his movie, then yes.
I love
obvious.
Taron Egerton.
Love him too. Robin Hood, unfortunately, not playing to anyone's strengths.
Sure.
The Rescuers, they're not going to fucking do that. Fox and the Hound, is that one Disney Plus?
I don't think they've announced it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do it. Fox and the Hound I weirdly like a lot.
Black Cauldron, I don't like that movie. It's
I
too
like it.
dark.
I like how dark it is. I like it's really sad.
Black Cauldron, if they announce a live action remake of the Black Cauldron,
All bets are off.
then we know Disney is truly
That-
I don't know.
That's the one that they like just kind of hide even more than
Yeah.
Song of the South.
Like that one has to be on Disney Plus though, right? I'm kind of pumped for that.
Yeah, I mean they've like
I'd like to
re-released it
rewatch that.
on Blu-ray and stuff.
Yeah.
I remember when they released it from the Disney Vault, I thought it was a new movie because it was never included in like Disney Legacy stuff, and
Right,
I was
you
a
thought it
kid
was, like-
who was so deep on Disney Legacy stuff. I was like, how did I never hear this movie? It was
Yeah.
never on any of the posters that were like the history of. Anyway, go on.
Right. Well, I really just knew it as like Disney's dark mistake or whatever. You know,
Right.
yeah. And then after Black Cauldron, you've got Great Mouse Detective. They could do that. Mice?
Yeah,
I don't know.
But
Oliver
Disney-
and Company?
Disney just shut down the Mouse Guard movie.
Yeah.
At Fox.
Yeah, but what if it was Detective?
Yeah. I mean, look, the photoreal
What
thing.
if it was on
who
the
knows?
case?
Yeah.
Little Mermaid is in the works. Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Lion King, done. Pocahontas, probably never going to happen. Hunchback. Are they doing that?
No, they keep on trying to do it for the stage. It has played in Germany. It has played in Europe. They've done out-of-town tryouts. James Levine.
So the
Not
next...
James Levine, James Lapine.
Yeah. The next
Yeah.
wave for them would be Hunchback, Hercules, Tarzan. That would be them being like, I don't know.
And
Like-
those ones are really tricky to pull off.
Hey.
We got a pizza pie, ladies and gentlemen.
Uh,
Hercules, I think, is kind of unadaptable because it's so specific in its tone and it being a weird comedy that feels so of its time.
Yeah.
Like, that's a very 90s comedy.
It is. And Tate Donovan's in it. Most 90s performer ever.
Hercules is kind of the proto-Shrek. I feel like people don't talk about that.
Donkey. That's what Shrek used to say.
Yeah.
Donkey.
But he's got his little Danny DeVito sidekick, and I feel like Hercules is the movie that's like, yeah, but we're making fun of Disney movies. Like, Hercules has all the jokes about, like, the meta-ness and the calling out how much merchandise there is. And
If
all
we
that
do
sort of-
Clements and Musker, we can talk Hercules. It's got an interesting style,
I mean,
visual style.
Here's something radical, I will tell you.
What the fuck? Jesus Christ. This is Blank Check Podcast. What are we doing?
We're doing this is important.
Okay. Go ahead.
We said this episode was going to be short, but we're connoisseurs of context.
Go ahead. What
We promised Ben it would be 15 minutes long. What I was going to say is when Hercules came out, I said that is tied for my number one favorite movie of all time.
That's interesting.
With
How old would you have been? Like
the original
9?
Toy Story. Yeah.
So in Hercules, you were like, they did it.
They finally came up with something. It doesn't surpass Toy Story,
Right.
but it's equal to Toy Story. And Toy Story, I still think is one of the greatest movies ever made. And I don't even like Hercules anymore. I have twice in the last 5 years tried to rewatch
like,
it.
go back to him and been like, eh.
Yeah, I thought it was so fucking funny. I thought it was a laugh riot. Loved the songs. Was all about it. That was my favorite of the Disney Renaissance. Anyway.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, this is the other problem, though. These ones like Hercules, 2 recent live action movies.
That's true.
Tarzan, a recent live action movie.
That was a hit.
Yeah.
America loved it.
Right. And the songs aren't as sort of legendary as they are with like Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin and Lion King and such.
Maybe they'll remake Bolt.
Can't wait for them to remake Bolt.
Bolt!
A photoreal Bolt. John Travolta. But then there's this other weird thing where now there's this rumor going around that they want to do fucking Atlantis.
Great. Sounds good.
That Guillermo
But
del Toro
didn't
denied.
Guillermo shoot it down or whatever? Right.
What he denied was that he was doing it, which I'm sure. And then like all the
He gets
sources
offered
were like,
everything or
we
whatever.
doubled down on this story. We trust our sources. I guarantee he was on everyone's fucking wish list. Apparently the thing they're into is that Disney wants to make a Tom Holland vehicle.
Yeah.
And they were like, Tom Holland would be good for the guy in Atlantis.
Tom Holland is attached to everything.
Yeah, Atlantis also lost a ton of money.
But it was about a lost empire. It lost an empire.
Like Atlantis, and I would like to see them make a live-action movie just because it's something that is not, like, fucking religiously, like, beloved.
Right,
And
exactly.
it's a cool premise, and you could actually pull it off in live action now. And the whole movie's designed by Mike Mignola. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
All the devices and everything, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think they're gonna run out. And I've heard things from people who are, like, around the Disney company that there is that internal panic of, like, we've been riding this money train, these live-action remakes, but,
what do
like,
we do when it's over?
yeah, it's not going to last forever. And especially with Disney Plus, where the ones that aren't sustainable enough for theatrical are going to go there, they're going to burn through anyone they could possibly do.
Remake Toy Story with real toys.
So here's the thing that a lot of people have said. Why don't they just remaster Toy Story 1 and 2? The way you remaster a video
Yeah,
game.
make them look nice, right?
Right.
But-
And the thing that people don't understand is to remake Toy Story is essentially the same kind of undertaking as remaking The Lion King.
Right. You would have to do it all.
You would have to redo
Right.
the entire thing.
Yeah.
Even if you wanted to
You
slavishly...
could copy it frame for frame, but you'd have to make every frame.
But the data,
Right.
I mean, you could not reuse the data
Right.
from the original
You can't just
movie.
like upload the original movie and be like, okay, and now let's turn up the resolution.
It's
or whatever.
incompatible file types.
Yes.
They talked about when they did Toy Story 3, they had to rebuild all the characters from scratch.
Right.
It's essentially new actors.
Right.
You have to build the characters again, or even if you use the model from Toy Story 4, you'd have to reanimate the performance frame by frame.
Yeah. Because they made the first Toy Story in DOS.
Yeah. But they re-released it in... David's shrugging.
What are they thinking?
They released it in like 4K. Like they've done their like up conversion thing.
Does it look good?
Yeah, it looks very good. I mean, it's like the colors are good and the details good and whatever. But they're not trying to pretend it's something it's
Does it
not.
still got toys?
It does still have the toys in it.
Okay.
I
I remember they were in that one.
I can confirm that the toys are back in town. But yeah, they'd have to make the movie from scratch just in order to have more realistic textures and stuff, which I don't think is worth the money for them because, you know.
No, people don't want these things.
No.
Now, this is Blank Check
With Griffin and David.
with Griffin and David.
I'm Griffin. You're?
David.
And Ben has given himself a slice of pizza. The meat lover was weirdly against getting the meat lover pie today.
I know, we should have gotten the meat
The dog wanted one. He was off the leash. Bark, bark, meat lovers. Or should I say for this episode, meow, meow. Because we're going to be talking about some big cats and some little cats. I could call this episode The Lion King, parentheses, 2019, v. Cats, parentheses, 2019 first theatrical trailer, colon, dawn of digital fur technology.
Yeah, that's what we should call it.
I could call it that.
Go right ahead.
Because this
Me
is
and
usually a
pizza here.
podcast about mini-series. God damn it. This is usually a podcast about filmographies. Directors, keep it in, Ben.
He's not keeping it.
He marked it, and I demand that you keep it in. Don't cut that shit out.
All right.
I want to live a transparent life.
I love it. Less work for me.
I want to go home to my children and tell them I live honestly.
How are your kids?
Terrible. They hate me. They got no respect for me. I tell you, Ben, I got no
Hey, up
respect.
yours, Dad.
I got no respect, Ben. My wife asked me.
Did you go to your Dr. Vinny Boom Bots?
Yeah. My wife asked me, she goes, you want to be on top or on bottom? I go bottom. Slide under the bed. I butchered a Rodney
Well,
Dangerfield
there's a
joke.
reason that Rodney was better at that than everyone else.
Yeah, Rodney was the best. I think joke for joke,
Once
Rodney's
a
the
week,
funniest person.
I watch a Rodney Dangerfield YouTube
Same here.
montage. Like all the
Same
fucking
here.
time.
I watch his specials all the time.
Oh, God, they're so
No one was better at jokes. No one was better at writing and delivering a joke than Rodney Dangerfield.
But Rodney Dangerfield is also someone who the simple act of him sitting down is hysterical.
Everything
Like
about
just me watching Rodney Dangerfield sit in a chair, I'm like, this is kind of the best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. Everything about him's funny.
God, he and Carson, him on Carson, like he is the perfect match for Carson because Carson is best when he's not doing anything. You know, when
Yeah.
he's just like, oh, sure, yeah, of course. You know, like, and that's just the perfect foil for him.
Yeah. Johnny, I tell you.
I tell you, go see my doctor, Vinny Boom Bots. Pretty Boomba.
But we usually talk about directors who have massive success early on in their career, given a series of blank checks, make whatever crazy passion projects they want. Sometimes those checks clear, and sometimes they bounce, baby. And we usually pick a miniseries. We pick a director's career. We go through them one by one. Every once in a while, there's a new film that we just got to talk about. And this is certainly a blank check film in a lot of ways. It's a blank check for this notion of the live-action Disney films. Its director certainly has blank check status. And Favreau is an interesting one because I think despite the fact that he has had a run of successes, his blank check also increases because of the increasing success of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Chef.
And Chef, and the Chef Cinematic Universe. The CCU. The MCU and the CCU. We all stand a legend. His name is Chef Casper. You got to try this Cuban. You got to try this Cubano.
Okay.
Remember that famous line from Chef?
Is he Martin Scorsese in that movie?
You got to try this Cubano. But don't you feel like that's happening? Like the more the Marvel universe becomes like, you know, like the all-consuming thing, the more everyone's like, that Favreau, he was ahead of the curve. Right. He was onto it.
He was involved. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's fair.
So coming off The Lion King, coming off all the Marvel movies, he goes, I just feel like we're getting warmed up.
Right.
We just cracked this technology. I want to take it to the next level.
It's the problem. This is the problem, though.
And they announce it as a new Lion King. And everyone goes, oh my God, they're making a live-action Lion King. Which
they did.
Are not.
Did. What are you talking about?
It took them 3 years to figure out a way to refer to it. For 3 years, they kept on, like, Robert Iger would do interviews and be like, I don't know, because it's like not live action, but it doesn't really look like an animated movie. And they finally, like 3 weeks ago, were like, go on all the talk shows and tell everyone it's photoreal.
Photorealistic. You don't like that?
And that's the pitch. The pitch was, what if we did The Lion King and tried as much as possible to make it look like a nature documentary?
Yes. The animals will just look like what those animals look like.
And we will try to hold them to the actual physical limitations of how much animals can emote.
Fully.
And
move around. So here's some things that lions can do. Walk. Run.
Yes.
Oh, that's it.
Eat.
Sure.
Sleep.
Yeah.
They could kind of like crouch
Pounce.
down, you know.
Crouch.
They are very
kind of lay.
survival-based creatures, right?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of emotion that goes into their decision. It's survival-based. They have their needs.
Pack hunters.
Right.
They live in prides.
Now, there's this thing that's interesting about watching animals behaviorally.
Sure.
Where because they aren't they're not run by emotions. You just see it's sort of the like
clockwork brain.
The clockwork brain of like, what do I need to do at this moment? When do I conserve my energy? When do I use it? What's the geometry of this attack? Any of that sort of stuff, right?
Yep.
And when you watch nature documentaries and the animals sort of like look blankly and are like twitching, and you're sort of projecting onto them like, what is that animal doing? What is it trying to do? That's kind of fascinating.
Right.
When Jon Favreau did The Jungle Book, I thought I like that movie a little more than you do.
Sure.
I think it's like a gentleman's 6.5.
5. Yeah.
Right. But I think he nails that element. I think you have one of each type of animal. I think generally those types of animals were more expressive. And
Bear,
bears,
panther, tiger,
snake, multiple wolves.
Yeah, but really one. Just sort of one main wolf.
Mother, father, cubs.
Mother, father.
Mother, father.
I don't know. Hello, mother.
But also, he seemed a lot more comfortable having animals do things that animals couldn't do in real life in that movie.
That is true.
Even though there isn't singing and dancing, the animals like gesticulate.
Well, there's a little singing.
No dancing. I'm just saying no dancing with the musical numbers. But there is rhythmic moving.
Yeah.
There is intentionality in their actions.
I was saying this to you before we saw the movie. We saw the movie together last night.
We did. Retired bet.
Bears and monkeys, apes, whatever it was, a chimpanzee, are more expressive and human to begin with anyway. So you got that advantage.
But do you remember how fucking well Shere Khan works in The Jungle Book? That was the performance everyone liked.
He works better. Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, he's only really got this. He's scary.
Yeah.
Which helps because, like, tigers are scary.
But is Scar ever as successfully scary in this movie?
Scar is the biggest problem with this movie. And this is a movie where pretty much everything is a problem. I think Scar is the biggest disaster in the entire movie.
Wow. Yeah.
But like I think if you're gonna try and highlight what went wrong here, I think Scar is probably the best example. and also probably the story of Disney's failure with these remakes in general.
Is the villain?
Is Scar and the villains and their whole thing where they're like, well, we can't have them be as sort of like flamboyant as they were because that kind of seems offensive now. And it's like, make another fucking movie.
Yeah.
You know, like then why are we doing this? Like, have you seen The Lion King recently? Scar is like every word is like, well, you know, it's like Jeremy Irons is like
It's
in
incredible.
the river.
And
He's
the
in the Ham River.
performance, the character animation on Scar
The
is so much
shallow
fun.
end of the gene pool.
Right.
You know, like every word is enunciated in this. And then like Chiwetel's like, yeah, I'll play him just sort of like, is this kind of moody guy. Like who's sort of like, you know, I don't know. It's like, it's monotonal.
But like,
He's not bad.
I think
it's not his
I
fault.
think he gives a good performance.
Good is.
I think
Good
he
is
gives
too
a
strong.
good period performance.
But anyway, but back to The Lion King. I mean, The Jungle Book.
This was the thing that kind of but like they have Baloo sitting, eating honey with his hand, making eye contact with the person he's talking to when he's talking to them, like gesticulating with his paw a little
Talking
bit.
to a person as
Right,
well.
right.
Another advantage that movie has, that there is a person.
Right.
Right.
But I think that movie like actually allows the characters to behave like characters.
A little bit.
And in this movie, I kept on being like, what's the weird thing that's going on? There are a lot of weird things.
And then
going on.
also, just the other point I made to you that you agreed with is like, at least in the Jungle Book, everyone's a different kind of animal, so you can like they have their own
Tell them
personalities. This one has like 8 or 9 lion characters.
Right.
They all look like lions.
Yeah.
Lions.
There are 3 hyenas. They all kind of look the same.
Hyenas all look the same. One of them has like a fucked up ear.
A little bit. Yeah.
Right.
I had to do a lot of dog scenes on the tech, right? Because we had the dog Midnight in season 1. And dog acting is very difficult. And here are a couple reasons why.
Because they're so fucking, they're divas.
They're divas. Their writers are insane.
Oh my God.
But there is a basic thing that we are just used to as an audience because so much of the language of cinema is based on eye lines, you know? Not even just the spatial geometry of how you set up a room, but like where characters are looking in direction in relation to where you cut before or after they look, all that sort of stuff that if you watch like the Michael Caine acting masterclass videos, which are incredible, the ones he did for like the BBC in the 80s, he talks so much about like the qualities of stillness that you need as an actor, even when you're playing a jittery character, that you have to maintain some sort of stillness, and why people don't move a lot in close-ups, and why they try to keep their eye contact fixed and not blink as much, even though it's unrealistic. And if you're watching it on set, you're like, this is bizarre. This is a thing I feel like I struggle with. I always like to play antsy people, and I'm always trying to find this like zone. And when I dislike my performances, I'm like, it feels too unfocused because I'm doing too much in a way that's distracting for the audience.
Right.
You need to find a way to like thread that needle, right?
Right.
Animals are only distracted. If anything comes into an animal's range of sight, it looks over at it.
Sure.
An animal can't stand still unless it's like sleeping, right?
Sure.
There are these weird involuntary twitches.
Yeah.
There are all these sorts of things that are distracting to watch because it distracts from whatever the intentionality of what an actor or character is trying to convey to you.
Yeah, you're saying they're shitty actors.
Jungle Book, he got most of that out of the way. And then every once in a while, he'd maybe throw a little touch in that in, so he'd be like, wow, it looks like a real tiger.
Right.
This movie, he is like so slavishly committed to like, I want this to look like planet Earth.
Right.
But when the characters are talking to each other, they keep on looking around. They keep on having little twitches or like walking off to some corner so that it looks like nature.
Like nature documentary, yeah.
And it doesn't, it's like he's actively not letting their body language.
Yeah, well, they can't look human at all.
Right.
Because then, you wouldn't fucking believe what was happening on screen. I mean, it'd be impossible. It would ruin the movie. I don't know what you're talking about. They gotta look like real lions. No, I mean, they gotta look like real lions.
And I just kept on doing this test.
I think it's pretty obvious.
Aside from the fact that their faces aren't expressive enough.
Right.
Aside from the fact that they all look the same.
Yes.
Aside from the fact that I don't think it makes any sense to go this photorealistic.
Sure.
There were a bunch of scenes where I was like, if they had just had Simba sitting, right?
Sure.
And while he's sitting, his focus is fixed on another person, and maybe once he gesticulates with his paw a little bit.
No, they don't really talk. They mostly just are looking off in various directions when they're talking to each
That's
other.
the fucking
I know. It's true.
And you're like, wow, I guess this does look like real lions.
Yeah.
Also,
and that's why I thought it was great. 5 stars.
I feel like a lot of people, in talking about this movie, have used the like they were so busy thinking about if they could they didn't even
that is what it is, because one assumes that there was that conversation of like, wow, Jungle Book was a hit, we have this tech,
yes,
and someone was just like, Lion King, that's the animal movie,
right,
that's the other one,
right,
let's fucking do it.
And apparently
everyone was like, bam, great, do it, right? I mean, I can't imagine it's a hard sell.
It was something that Favreau like wanted to do post Jungle Book.
Sure.
But apparently they were already sort of stewing on that, and Favreau was like,
well,
I want to win this job.
Right. Oh, weird.
Yeah. I don't think he was met with much resistance, but it was like a thing he like pursued within, the lineup of potential Disney movies he could grab.
Right. Yeah, he beat out Malick.
And my joke at the time was like, I did this both ways, was like, because that same day, they announced that Justin Lin was attached to direct a Hot Wheels movie.
Sure.
And I said, Jon Favreau agreeing to make The Lion King is like if Justin Lin agreed to do a Hot Wheels movie. And then I did the opposite joke of like Justin Lin agreeing to where it's like, if you've already kind of done this thing.
Why do it again?
What's the difference? What do you need to prove?
Well, this time the wheels are hot. So.
Right. And that would have been huge. Flaming wheels.
Everyone, like the trailer would have been like, "Here's a car." It's like everyone knows cars. We're like,
but I was like, what does he think he can add to this movie? And the answer is apparently just that thing that we've talked about a lot on this podcast, because it happens to blank check directors, where they just become so obsessed with the tech,
yes,
and the idea that the process of making the movie can change Hollywood forever,
right? That
they just go so deep up their own butt. And sometimes the guys get out. Sometimes, like Cameron, in spite of themselves, the things sort of work.
And sometimes they don't, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, they have the additional problem where it's like, they have the animated film playing and they're like, yeah, okay, it's a branch that he's on. Let's have him hanging in the same way, right? Like, and they did a zoom here, so we'll zoom, even though like we barely zoom at any other point in the movie. You know what I mean? Like shit like that.
Was Stefanski the one who was telling you the Spirit story?
Yeah, the Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron, also known as Cimarron Stallion of the Spirit, or Stallion Spirit of the Cimarron. Your joke is that you can just change the names no matter what. Which is a horsey animated movie from, I want to say 2002, maybe 1.
I think it's 2.
They're about a bunch of horses. 2002, that's right.
The horses do not speak in the movie. It is a movie about horses. Matt Damon plays a narrator.
Yeah, Matt Damon plays Spirit, but as a narrator.
An internal monologue sort of thing.
James Cromwell, I think, played a colonel that's sort of like Custer.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's just
it's a very pretty movie.
And all physicality.
Essentially.
It's a movie that tries to have the horses communicate and behave like real horses, rather than making them
that was the whole idea. Don't make them cartoon horses. Make it an animated film about real horses.
And it is a pretty movie. I think of it mostly as just being pretty.
Yeah.
But the animators said the one concession they had to make, to us, outside of reality, was they had to give them eyebrows, human eyebrows.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Just because otherwise,
that's
there's
like
no emotion.
Claymation, right?
Yes,
Even
exactly.
Everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. Everything.
So, and as you look at the trailer, the poster, it's like, yeah, you can see they just got a couple brows on there.
100%.
Yes.
And Jon Favreau is not an animator. He has no background in animation.
No, he was a sandwich maker.
He's a sandwich maker. I gotta try this Cubano.
Yeah, Cubanos.
And even though The Jungle Book, it was like 90% CGI,
right?
It's reverse engineered from here's a kid we're putting in front of a physical
He was on
camera.
a set with a kid, and the kid was acting, and he was directing the kid, like a director does.
They built
to walk on all fours?
Sometimes. Well, the kid was playing Mowgli.
Oh, sorry.
Right.
But
sometimes Mowgli walks on all fours.
Favreau, notably, would usually play the animals with the kid. Where his acting, experience comes into play is like Favreau would play Baloo, and I'm sure he was good as Baloo on set. So
he
the kid
killed it as Baloo.
He probably was really good.
He was actually probably great as Baloo.
Yeah,
actually, let's find those fucking dailies.
Yeah.
I mean, as Kaa, was he great? Who knows? But as Baloo?
I don't know.
He got an Oscar for that.
But I was like, Kaa in that movie, they turn into Scarlett Johansson as like a weird hypnotic seductress. And I'm like, that is a scene that so fully embraces the unreality of what's going on here.
Yeah, I know.
And it felt like that snake gave an emotional performance.
Yeah.
In a one-scene role, right? And this movie, he's like, no eyebrows.
No.
It's not motion capture.
No.
So you don't have actors who are able to put emotions into the
Right.
performance
We're not
physically.
like Donald Glover's face is not being mapped onto Simba's face.
This is keyframe animated.
Keyframe.
He records voices and then he hands it over to animators. Most of those animators, I believe, in this instance, are special effects artists.
Exactly. They're not what you would call animators.
Now, very often these days, if people don't want to have to pay the overhead to have an animation studio going on all the time, something like Rango, for example, hired ILM to be the animation studio.
Right.
But they will hire a lot of animation experts to work on it because the visual effects people are usually trying to replicate something or create something that can fit into what already exists.
Mm-hmm.
And character animation is its own school of sort of art that you need to learn.
Yeah.
Because a good animator is a good director and a good actor. Right. In that sense, you go, Favreau could be a good fit, both the director and an actor.
Yeah.
But the difference is that animators have to learn how to act from the outside.
Interesting.
They have to understand how to give a performance, but it's not about I'm feeling really connected in the scene. I'm listening to my partner.
Sure.
All the things that they tell you to do as an actor. Don't be outside of your head. Don't think about it. Don't try to get this result.
Respond to
Don't
what's
talk
being
with your
given
hand.
here.
All this sort of shit.
Yeah.
Animation is the exact opposite. And then you're trying to find the specific inner life in that gesture, in that movement.
Mm.
And you have a movie that is like special effects teams being directed by a very naturalistic, conversational, behavioral actor-director.
A guy whose best movie is probably Iron Man? What's Favreau's best movie? Elf or Iron Man, right?
His best movie is Elf.
Elf is pretty good.
I love Elf. I think Elf is a masterpiece.
Masterpiece is strong.
I think Elf is a masterpiece.
Okay.
I will say that. I think Elf's a masterpiece.
Okay.
Elf's
good. He's an elf.
Jungle Book was kind of a good fit for him because Jungle Book's got this jazzy hangout vibe.
Yeah.
I was saying to you last night,
You
Jungle
love
Book's
Jungle
my
Book.
favorite.
Right. I didn't realize this.
And
That's your number one.
First movie I ever saw.
Sure.
Saw it at the Quad. Remember it vividly, even though you called me a liar.
You are a liar.
I'm not a liar.
Known liar.
Remember it vividly.
Right.
But that movie is this sort of shambling, like here are all these weird bachelors in the jungle hanging out with this kid, having these conversations, just sort of like bumping around, singing songs and shit like that.
Sure.
Unsurprisingly, this movie hits like a 10-minute window of enjoyability at like the peak Timon and Pumbaa section in the middle, where you're like, well, this is why you hire Favreau to do this.
Yeah.
Because this feels like the kind of thing he knows how to do.
Sure.
When you're watching Favreau do slavish recreations of what were previously either fully dramatic or fully musical scenes.
Yep.
Because otherwise, Lion King does not have a lot of overt humor.
No. The home humor is mostly Timon and Pumbaa. Right? Like,
Right.
A little bit of Scar.
Right.
Scar's got some humor. Yeah,
And then
the hyena.
He's taking out all of his humor, all of his sort of like human rhythm sort of interest in dialogue,
This
you
is
know?
true. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, this is a weird stilted match of material to him.
Sure.
Whereas someone like Julie Taymor is someone who had always been like, I'm going to pick a folklore tale or like this like Greek tragedy or like something, you know? And sort of like work these mythic stories into these more like expressionistic things.
Mm.
I work with these sort of like sacred texts.
Right. And then she does Arachne and it does her in, right? Yeah,
right. But that was like, she was like,
that was her concept.
I'm
right,
trying to view Spider-Man as this.
As this like
right.
mythic.
Right.
Right.
But
But
he's making this movie in which he's so obsessed with, as I said, the fact that he could, that he didn't think about whether or not he should.
Sure.
Now, everyone's been saying that, and that's sort of the fundamental line everyone's using to sum it up.
Yes.
It's always kind of bugged me because I've been like, that doesn't feel totally right because I feel like the origins of that term are always tied to catastrophic acts against humanity. And as bad as this movie is, it's not a malicious act.
No. No, it's not malicious.
So I'm sitting there watching it.
It feels deeply cynical, even though I don't think Favreau is cynical.
No, I think it feels super cynical from a studio perspective.
Yeah.
I think he was coming at it very earnestly. I think all the people who worked on it were very earnestly trying to do something with it.
Sure.
But I'm sitting there watching and I'm going like, what is the analogy for what this feels like to me? Because I think you and I agree, like, when Oceania hits and the sun hits, it feels kind of fun.
Hey.
When you're
love
watching Circle of Life, even though it's less effective than the original, you're like, if I saw someone upload this to YouTube and they were like, this special effects artist spent a year recreating.
Sure, like those people who like are like, I made Obi-Wan and Darth Vader
Right.
fight, you know.
Or
yeah,
the guy
right,
who
right.
did like the entire like Battle of Normandy from Saving Private Ryan
Right.
on his computer.
Right.
Like that shit, you're like,
well, hey, the craft is well done.
it's
I guess.
impressive.
Right,
What an
sure,
interesting
sure.
thought experiment.
Right.
So we're both watching that and I'm like, recognize the.
Okay, but say When I Laughed. Are you getting to When I Laughed during the recreation of Circle of Life?
There is a rack focus,
Which is a great shot in the original.
Yeah.
The rack focus from the ants to the. I mean, I can probably find the exact animals, but in the original, in the 1994 movie,
yeah,
it's like a nice little visual suggestion of like everyone's coming. Like to this ceremony, from the tiniest little ants, this Ben, to the zebras,
yes.
And it's like, it's always kind of cool when Disney 2D animation like has stuff like a rack focus where you're like, oh, like it's like a movie, like even though they just drew that. And the live action movie literally has the exact same shot. They do that a lot. I mean, they do a lot of those like recreations.
Similar. I mean, the Circle of Life, I have to imagine, is like you could put it like Gus Van Sant Psycho next to each other.
It felt that way. That, the Mufasa death, I'm trying, like the most sort of iconic visual sequences from this movie, it felt like they were like, let's just try and replicate them.
Yes.
And then others, like say like I Just Can't Wait to Be King, which is obviously this like big sort of Busby Berkeley musical number.
It's like
and
they're actively avoiding giving
they're
you the imagery.
yeah, well, we can't do that, so I guess they just walk around the watering hole and there are other animals there.
To which I say, and I will continue yelling this for the rest of the episode, why can't you? What weird rule that doesn't exist are you trying to abide by?
Well, I think it's just if you've got these animals, these planet Earth animals, and you had them dancing, it would just look stupid. So instead, they went for boring. You know what I mean? They just were like, well, if it's boring, no one can call it stupid.
Now, I want to say, I didn't see the
but
movie.
Griffin's probably going to call it stupid.
But my thinking with just this line of conversation is like, okay, so what about the rule of almost like when humans aren't around, animals act differently? That's like a really simple thing I've seen done in stories before.
Yes.
Humans are gone. All of a sudden, animals communicate to each other. Simple, easy. Like, who cares?
You give them 10% more human characteristics in their movement.
Yeah.
And this movie becomes 75% better.
God. I'm glad I didn't
Like, you get 10% more intentionality.
It's like, it was one of the, we just sat there watching
Yeah.
it. And like for the first half, I said to this to Griffin, like the first half of the movie, I was eating dinner because I was at the Alamo. So like that was okay. Because I had like food.
There's one
Had
part.
some drinks.
There's one part where we got like really
Genuinely
engrossed.
enjoyed the Timon and Pumbaa stuff.
Really good.
Hell
And we'll get to that in a second. There's one part where we got like really sort of on our edge of our seats,
Okay.
which is when they accidentally brought me buffalo wings, but I had
Instead
ordered
of
loaded
fries. I mean, that was fucking tense.
And it definitely happened during the elephant graveyard sequence, and we were a lot more focused on
sorry, not
the wing
elephant.
suck.
Sorry, it's an elephant poop yard in this movie.
It's a poop
No,
yard?
it just looks.
David
it
thinks
looks
it looks like a bowl
shit.
of farts.
I mean, the whole movie looks like. Yeah, they should actually. We should clarify that. So, like, here's how the movie began. John Favreau got a bowl and he farted into it a bunch.
And then Caleb Deschanel,
Caleb Deschanel filmed that shit.
and then they
And
had
then
to
here
digitally
we go, and it's
recreate
going to
it.
make $2 million. Now, I do think it's wild that this movie it's a 50. Rotten Tomatoes is what it is, but it's a 55 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Which is like, you'd think, like, usually with Rotten Tomatoes with a movie like this, you can kind of just coast on nostalgia and
They'll
get
give
a
it a
lot of
soft
3 out of
pass.
5s,
Yes.
get a lot of like mildly positive reviews.
Yeah.
And just sort of coast your way to like an 80% favorable kind of view. Like, people are kind of like, they fucked it up. Like, even, right, I think most people are just sort of like, no, sorry. Like, I was bored.
Well, and we sat there, and we'll get to the highlight of the audience reaction later in the episode. But when the Circle of Life ended, and it does the smash boom Lion King as a title,
And obviously that was the trailer for the original. It was the trailer for this remake.
I rewatched
It's fantastic.
because I want to rewatch the movie, which is sadly still in the Disney Vault until Disney Plus happens.
Sure.
So you could only buy it on iTunes.
Sure.
But I rewatched the trailer, and do you remember that the trailer, which is just the Circle of Life, starts with like 3 title cards
Yes.
that say like, in 1994, Walt Disney Pictures will release its 33rd animated film, an original story about lions in the Sahara Desert. Right. This is the opening song. Is such a baller move. Like, for me, that's like on the level with like Michael Jordan, I'm Back. To just say this is the opening song. We're calling it a year in advance.
Yeah.
And famously, within Disney, Michael Eisner and Katzenberg were so obsessed with the idea of getting an animated film to win Best Picture.
Sure.
They got nominated with
Because
Beauty
they
and the
had
Beast.
snuck up on it with Beauty and the Beast, right? And like that was after they did like a full court press.
Right.
They campaigned really hard for that movie.
Right.
And they got that nomination. Everyone was like, hey, wow.
Yes.
History made.
Right. And they thought Pocahontas was going to be the one.
Right. The whole time during the development of these, because those two movies are happening basically parallel, they're like, Pocahontas is going to be huge. Lion King, I don't know.
We don't know.
Lions,
And
it
people
has
were
no,
trying to get
like,
themselves
prior
off of
IP.
Lion King to
Right.
get on Pocahontas.
Lion King, I feel like, I think that Clements and Musker turned it down.
I believe so.
And it's directed by, what's their pants?
Rob Minkoff.
Minkoff and fucking
forgetting the other guy's name.
one. Like, it's not even Trousdale and Wise, who are
No.
the other sort of
No.
big directors who made Beauty and the Beast.
No.
Allers and Minkoff.
Yes.
And like Minkoff went on to make the Stuart Little movies,
Uh-huh.
Haunted Mansion,
Yeah.
and Mr. Peabody and Sherman.
Yeah.
It's not like these guys were
Did he do 102 Dalmatians?
undisputed geniuses. No.
No, okay. He did Stuart Little. Yes. It's
Kevin Lima did a
Oh, of course.
goofy movie.
Yes. David's looking at me knowingly.
It was one of the goofier movies.
It is.
I just want to talk about how it was a fucking goofy movie.
Well, yes, but I mean, I can think of a goofier movie. An extremely goofy movie.
Extremely goofy. I can think of a goofier movie. That's right, Son of Saul. I'm trying to think of this most serious movie.
David.
You're right. It was only somewhat goofy.
David, how dare you? Unbelievable. God, I'm in such a bad mood. How are we going to get back on track after the ding dong, ding dong?
Door's
ding
already
dong.
open, buddy. Come on in.
Yeah, there's no ventilation in the new Audio Boom studio. He's ringing the front door of the building. Can we buzz him in? Yuck, yuck, yuck,
Oh, it's Goofy.
What?
Hi, what's up?
You think I'm goofy?
I don't know. Maybe I was just talking about how the whole situation right now is goofy. The doors are open. It's a real goofy situation.
Yeah, okay. My name is John Sampson.
Uh-huh.
A door-to-door salesman. I was wondering if anybody needs a vacuum cleaner, but apparently I look like Goofy the
It's going
dog.
to be one of
from
those ads
Disney
where
lore.
we take a while to work to the premise.
We'll get there.
A couple of twists before we even start the copy. Okay, John
It's not the
Simpson.
first time someone's mistaken me for Goofy Dog.
Yeah, you got the voice. Look, what can I tell you? I thought you were goofy for a second there.
It's
I'll
not
admit to
just
it. I'll
the
cop to
voice.
it.
I know the other thing that's going on. And before I proceed, you guys don't want a vacuum cleaner, I presume?
No, we have one here at the office.
Okay,
Sure
yuck, yuck. This is what I was going to say. Aside from the fact that I got this voice, which we all know,
Sounds like goofy.
a regional southern accent. Yuck, yuck. My hair situation's not great.
Oh, 66% of men start to lose their hair by age 35.
Well, I lost my hair, but in a really uncomfortable pattern. I got a little bump of hair back on the top of my head, like the crown of my head, that looks like Goofy's little head bump.
Yeah.
And then I don't even have the hair donut.
Well,
I got 2 long strips.
look, you've still got some hair, and the best way to prevent more hair loss is to do something about it while you still have some. Okay? It's time to get a handle on your precious
I feel like
locks.
you stepped on the part that was going to be interesting, which is
go
the
ahead.
2 long strips that run over my ears that make it look like I have long, slappy pappy dog ears.
And there it is.
Well, why would you turn to weird solutions or do
Yuck,
nothing when you can turn to medicine or science? So you can go to forhims.com, okay? It's a one-stop shop for hair loss, for skincare, for sexual wellness for men. It's created by a guy who knows that like these kinds of mental health conversations can be easier online than in person, right?
Oh,
Than
Mickey?
in person. No, not Mickey. I don't know who. I don't know his name, honestly. He
Mickey
doesn't-
Johansson, my next door neighbor. That's what I was talking about.
Well, is he the founder of For Hims?
I was wondering. That's why I asked you.
Let's. I mean, possible.
Okay.
There's no more awkward in-person doctor's visits or long pharmacy lines with For Hims. It connects you to real doctors online. It could save you hours. It's completely confidential and discreet. You just answer a few quick questions. The doctor reviews it, and they determine if it's right for you and prescribe you for medication to treat hair loss that's shipped directly to your door.
Like Donald?
Finish the name. Donald who?
Donald Duck.
Okay.
Instein. My doctor, Donald Duckenstein.
He might be one of the doctors who can do this for you. Yeah. So order now. Blank Check listeners can get started with the Hims Complete Hair Kit for just $5 today, right now, while supplies last, and subject to doctor's approval. See website for full details and safety information. This could cost hundreds if you went to the doctor or pharmacy somewhere else.
Oh, well, I guess if you're saving the money, maybe you want to roll that money over to a new vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, possibly. Go to forhims.com/check. That's forhims.com/check for hims.com/check. See website for full details and safety information. And sure, how much is the vacuum cleaner?
It's $100.
That's a lot of money for a vacuum cleaner. Is it good?
No, it's a little goofy.
All right. Well, John,
I could tell where I'm not wanted.
it's been great to meet you.
I'll go out to the waiting area and sit there with that anthropomorphic talking check. He said he's been out there for hours.
God, wait, you were supposed to tell him to not show up.
I know. I was supposed to tell him the other day. Woo. All right. Whatever. Thanks, John.
Said he thinks he's supposed to be the guest on the Bad Boys 2 episode.
I don't know what.
I don't know where you got
Let's
that
just
idea.
keep going, and
Okay.
maybe he'll get the
Bye.
idea.
Yeah, right. He's definitely
Okay, so here's what I want to say.
Griffin. You were real quiet during that.
I was in awe. I mean, look, we know here on the podcast, I'm a little bit of a roastmaster general. If I said something, I was just going to brutally roast this guy for looking like goofy.
Right.
I
Call you
didn't have
Doctor.
anything
They
nice
call
to
you
say.
Dr. Byrne.
I operate on lights, camera, Jackson
They do.
rules.
Okay.
If you don't have anything nice to say, you don't say anything at all.
Fair. I forgot about that video. That is one of the most chilling pieces of filmed art I've ever seen.
You're speaking of the best film of 2018?
Yeah, I think it was. Its official
2019,
title was
I'm
"Children
sorry.
of the Corn 6," right? Booksmart Review Edition. Have you seen this video?
No.
I mean,
I don't know if it's better to let you see it or
Play it.
hide it from you.
Play it. Play it because 90% of it is silent, so Ben can watch it while we're talking.
Oh God. Okay.
There's only talking at the beginning part. And I want to say I've been loving the Back to You podcast. I've literally listened to all of it. I think it's great. Let's Cameron Jackson. Just playing his standard clip.
One of his rapid reviews.
There are times as a film critic that make you think back to that famous saying. Maybe your mother, grandmother, or an early teacher first taught it to you.
Early teacher.
An early
Something
teacher.
nice to say, don't say anything at all.
All right, and now we can keep talking while this fucking
Let Ben see it. though.
clown show continues. Oh, I'm letting him
Ben has to
go.
look at it, but Let's Cameron Jackson is just
I
staring.
feel like I'm staring into
the camera.
like just the deepest,
Everything that's wrong with
darkest
America.
Yeah.
pit of just commentary.
Sure, entitlement. I don't know. It's
But the Back to You pod's really good.
Is it? Is it good?
I
What's
mean,
some stuff you've learned
Love
recently?
It calms me down.
Amen.
They-
What a Faustian situation where you're like, I found the one thing that calms me down. Unfortunately, it's a podcast hosted by Jackson from Lights, Camera, Jackson.
from Lights,
I couldn't remember his last name.
Cameron Jackson, he of the famous ongoing narrative. Lights, Cameron Jackson.
Remember when this was going to be a short episode? We haven't even fucking talked about cats yet.
I know, we gotta get to cats. Folks, this is the first time we've recorded 2 episodes in a row in a long time.
That's right. Probably since Book of Henry.
And we're feeling it. A thing I learned from the Back to You podcast is in the last 4 episodes of Back to You, they changed the character who's playing the daughter of Patricia Heaton and Kelsey
I
Grammer.
knew that.
A very late recasting
I
from
think
Laura
they were,
Marano to what's her name? Lily Jackson.
I think they were thinking they were still going to get that season 2 pickup. And
They
then
thought they
that
were.
just didn't happen.
Their ratings were higher than Till Death. This is another thing I learned, but Till Death was less expensive to produce.
Till Death was very. But you know what happened with Till Death, right? That became one of the weirdest sitcoms of all time.
Yes.
You should read Emily's article on that.
I have
It's
read that.
incredible.
Yes.
Oh my God. But that hard cut to black is what we were talking about here.
Yeah,
it goes.
this moment is incredible.
Where they're like, yeah?
Dun, 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 bum, boom. The
Kills.
audience erupts.
The audience at the Alamo Draft House, where we saw this movie last night,
Really good loaded fries.
with good loaded fries and all that. Nice Moscow Mule. I was drinking a couple Moscow Mules. just applause. And I think it's almost Pavlovian. It's
It
like,
was.
oh my God, right, of course, you know?
But it felt like people were satisfied, and it's like, you showed us the tech demo, I'm on board.
Right.
And David said, let's watch how it dwindles.
Yeah, which it did.
Because they continued Pavlovian style,
Eh.
responding.
After I Just Can't Wait to Be King, one person was like, there was that sort of like, one person was like, we're still we're not clapping anymore.
It was more than that. It dwindled.
It dwindled. At the end, at the end, it was light applause.
The one that I remember was really light is in Hakuna Matata when they make the transition where suddenly he's adult Simba. And that was the one where it was like 3 people thought it was going to happen and pulled back.
Right.
I Just Can't Wait to Be King. I feel like they were still doing
because that's the
polite.
The second song. So
Right.
people are like, oh, they did another one of the songs. Right.
Right.
There's only, I guess, because they kind of cut Be Prepared apart from.
They make Be
Be
Prepared
Prepared
into
becomes
like
kind
a
of
Rex
like a
Harrison
dramatic monologue.
set to music.
Now, my question, because we're talking visuals, how's the music? Is it at least?
Music's fine.
Is it good? I mean, because
The score is good.
Beyonce,
It's Zimmer's
like
back.
you have amazing
Oh,
vocalists.
We'll get to Beyonce.
Yeah. So
I mean, Beyonce's a good singer.
Yeah,
look, these
Sure.
songs are good. They hire people who are good at singing.
right.
Sure.
You know, like even like Billy Eichner turns out is a better
Great
singer
singer.
than Nathan Lane. Nathan Lane, one of
Whoa.
our finest,
Well, Nathan Lane's always been one of this kind of singer,
and, look,
you know.
Nathan Lane's got pipes. He can obviously like really sing, but it turns out that like Billy Eichner has the voice of an angel.
Lovely,
And he
lovely.
sings the
amazing.
shit out of these songs.
That's amazing.
Right? Rogan cannot sing at all. Not surprising. They push him a little more than they should. I think they embarrass him a little bit.
Oh,
Not his fault, their fault, right?
right. How about Glover?
Glover, voice of an angel.
Yeah,
Lovely
Beyonce,
voice.
Yeah,
phenomenal. Like all these people, it's like
Turns out this Beyonce
can sing.
talented.
Good singer.
Talented.
And even at the very end of like the spoken word, like slam poetry, Be Prepared, they do. Chiwetel like holds the tune for a little bit, and I'm like, nice voice.
Mhm.
Like sounds like, of course, he's a classically trained man. Of course, he has to
Yeah.
have some basic perfunctory like singing abilities. You know, he's royally trained or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
yes, a little bit like what the fuck is going on here? I was looking back because I've seen all these conflicting reports about how much Beyonce was paid to do the movie, and I think they're all based on hypotheticals that have now been sourced and requoted. No one knows.
No, we're not.
But there was the rumor at the time that was they were going to pay her $25 million because the big key was she was going to produce the entire soundtrack.
Right. And she did, didn't she?
Pharrell gets a credit. I didn't see her get any credits other than that she co-wrote and produced the new song. But Pharrell
there's
gets
the
a song.
Lion King, The Gift. You know what I mean?
What's the Lion King the Gift?
It's this soundtrack she made. She produced a curated soundtrack, which counts as her 7th studio album.
right. I think that's sort of part of
Yes.
the deal, but it's under her own label.
Yeah, sure.
The credit that
Columbia,
Pharrell gets, which is songs produced by Pharrell Williams, I feel like at the time the perception was she was going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
She was going to be hands-on. She was going to bring in the musicians. She was going to figure out how to reorchestrate these songs.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching it every time they did one of these songs, and the songs themselves, on a musical level, totally work.
They're fine.
I was just like, I would have rather seen someone try something different here. Because all the actors are singing them well, but you could have approached them differently from instrumentation,
But you're just talking.
from mixing, from
They're
rhythm.
just not doing that.
They're just not
They're doing the Lion King.
doing it.
If they
This
did,
is money being printed
Yeah.
on screen,
Right.
right? I mean,
That's
that's what
what
I'm.
it is.
That's what I'm. The
And
more
then-
you
but
talk
But you guys
about
know
it.
what the most successful piece of entertainment in history is. One single piece of entertainment in history is.
the original Lion King.
The Broadway musical.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Nothing has ever made more money than the Broadway musical, and it is very interesting how this movie doesn't take anything from the Broadway musical.
right.
Like, it is purely just an adaptation of the live action, or the original animated film, and not the one other time that they tried to sort of bring the Lion King into real life.
Right.
It's kind of fascinating. Aside from the fact that, like, Julie Taymor has talked about how she wanted to do this movie, how she would have done it, how she thought doing it hyper-realistic was not going to pay out.
Right.
There are even story changes that the musical makes that would have benefited this movie. Because this one was inexplicably half an hour longer. Aside from one scene that was when I went to the bathroom,
It's
doesn't
not.
seem to add anything.
It is, from what I could tell, 15 minutes longer with incredibly long credits. It adds that one.
Did
there's
they
a couple
hold
scenes
on the bowl of farts for longer?
They
in-
did.
in
I mean,
par-
they
in parts?
They did.
Okay.
They did a tracking dolly shot on. No, I mean, there's a couple. There's a scene where Nala and no, sorry, not
It's Nala and Scar.
Yeah, Nala and Scar kind of tussle.
Yeah.
And there's
And I came
this
back in the bathroom and you went, well, that was kind of interesting. And I said,
I was
what?
like, it
And
was
you
at
were
least
like,
different.
they tried something.
Yeah, it was another scene.
Scar was trying to hunt Nala.
They extend, because she's trying to like sneak out.
Yeah.
They extend the sequence of Simba's like fur flying over to Rafiki, where
That's
it's like,
fucking
oh, a giraffe eats it, and then it poops it, and then like a termite rolls it into a poop
There's
ball.
a dung
and then-
beetle sequence, which
Yeah.
is almost a direct copy of not something from The Lion King, but something from Microcosmos. Do you remember Microcosmos? Microcosmos
Good movie.
was a documentary about bugs where they had like, we cracked the micro
It
lenses.
was all zoomed in.
Yeah.
We can do bug photography better than anyone's ever done before. And I think it was like French documentary
French movie,
filmmakers.
early mid '90s, whatever.
And it was like a weird art house crossover sensation where it made like a couple $1 million.
Wow.
Because kids
cool,
kind of liked it. It was
yeah.
like a good Planet Earth style nature documentary.
Cool.
I remember thinking it was kind of boring. The poster was a praying mantis wearing sunglasses, and I kept on turning to my mom and going, when's he showing up? Because he seemed like a fun Joe Camel type.
Right.
And instead it was like, no, Miramax was just trying to make it look like the movie was fun. But there's one sequence that rules, which is watching this dung beetle trying to push a ball of dung up like an anthill. And it's got like these stakes that you understand where even if the
I'm
thing
into
can't
that.
emote, he's like trying and struggling to push up and he keeps on falling back. And I remember that thing just like fucking killing, seeing that as like a child at the film forum
Hey
or whatever.
man, I mean, you know, it's a ball of poop.
And then he does that in this. And it's like, I have to imagine for a guy who's talked so much in the press about like, I'm trying to make it look like a nature documentary, that he fucking was like, this is my Microcosmos homage.
And so it's a close up of poop.
Yeah, for a while,
It's a
a
close
couple
up.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did he
poop
get
ball,
notes on the poop?
At a certain point, the poop ball splits open
Ugh,
Fur comes out.
and then the fur comes out. And then you're just tracking
that's disgusting.
this poop fur flying around. And Rafiki catches it and you're like, Rafiki, wash your fucking hands.
and then he does,
And he does.
and that's
Oh.
an extended
Yeah,
sequence.
there's a long sequence where Rafiki Purells his entire
There's a
body.
long sequence
Well,
where
that's product
Rafiki
placement. That makes
installs a plumbing system in his tree.
So
This is colossal.
it's like fascinating. So I'm watching this movie and I'm going like, what's the analogy here? I don't want to use the could should thing because it's what they're doing is so much more innocuous where it's really like, why spend the time doing this? You know, it's not malicious, but it just feels like such a waste of time and energy. Anytime I was sort of like visually taken by something in the movie, it would be like, man, look at how good that grass is. And then I would think, why did someone have to spend that much time
Making
accurately
grass.
replicating the imperfections of a thing that I could film on my cell phone right now? You know?
Yeah.
Like the
Yep.
way the light hits the thing, you know, this and that. The fact that it's all 100% CGI and that stuff is more impressive than the animal stuff, the environmental stuff, the water, what have you.
Yeah.
And you go like, there's no reason any of this needs to be replicated. I understand you can't get lions to do things like this. And even if you want to do it Babe style, it's really dangerous and it'd be hard to get the performance out of them, whatever, right?
Mhm.
And they don't want to do what Dinosaur did, which I kind of would have preferred. Disney's
movie
Dinosaur,
Dinosaur,
where
sure.
they shot live action backgrounds and then just animated the characters into them.
Okay.
Because that movie then has to abide by the physics of what a real camera can do.
Mhm.
Which, when this movie is replicating certain famous shots, like the sweeping shot where you're on like Zazu's back as you fly towards Pride Rock, works in animation because in animation, animators are drawing a thing, and then they have certain technologies like a multiplane camera or CGI later for Lion King and stuff like that they can use to simulate a camera movement. But your brain is not rejecting it because you know there's not a real camera in the same kind of way. In this movie, when they have Caleb Deschanel sitting in a room as a visual consultant,
The D.
given the D in VR, wearing this headset with two like Oculus Rift
Oh
controllers,
my God.
placing his digital camera somewhere and picking his digital lens and all of this. That's the whole thing they talked about. You watch behind the scenes photos of this movie, and it is 10 guys sitting in office chairs with Oculus Rift controllers and headsets, and one guy's like the gaffer, and they were like, we digitally created a way where someone can light a set. And it's like, there's also an analog way to do it. You hire a guy, and he brings lights, and he turns them on, and it's an artistry. It's like a craft.
But they had to do a photoreal CGI.
So when the
I have
Zazu
no
flight
defense.
thing's going on, you're like, there's no way you could get a camera to do this in real life. And it makes everything look more fake. But this is the point I want to make, okay? Because I was really proud when I landed on this.
Okay.
sitting there watching that, bored. I'm not emotionally engaged.
No.
I'm not hating it, but I'm just like, it's weird how much I don't feel anything
Thinking
watching.
about what happened to your loaded fries. Where are they?
Right. That was when there was really some tension. And things like Scar that used to be scary. I'm just like, I don't feel any threat. I don't feel any danger.
I
The
really think they
stampede.
fucked up how he looks.
I do too. The design of Scar is terrible.
Awful.
He's just skinny. Like, he just looks like a rag.
He's just like a mangy looking lion.
He looks like a methy lion.
He looks so bad.
Right? He looks methy.
It's so disappointing. I'll find a picture for you.
I go, why spend this much time and energy for something you can so simply just do? Replicating things that you could already just film. Replicating the way that a camera or light would work, right?
That's so bad.
And then I said, what is this movie? This movie is the cinematic equivalent
Yeah, go ahead.
of the Juicero machine.
The what? Oh, the Okay, so if I can remember right, it was that thing where they were like, Silicon Valley has cracked juicing.
People
Like,
are so into juicing, we need technology to disrupt the juicing industry.
right. People, how do you make juice? Usually, you have to buy fresh fruit, put it in a juicer. It's whisper quiet. No, it barely makes any juice. What a pain in the ass. Not with the Juicero. It's a machine where you put it on your kitchen counter. You buy Juicero packs.
They ship them to you.
You put a Juicero pack in it. They're trying to do like the Nespresso coffee,
Right.
but for juice.
Right. Oh, it's so easy. Just put the little pod in.
And then someone figured out that you could just take the juice pack and just squeeze it with your hands into a glass. Like you didn't need the machine.
The only thing the machine was doing
was squeezing the juice.
was
pack.
squeezing the juice. And
Which,
they were like,
hands
but the
did.
force, you don't understand, the torque of the squeeze in the machine. And the machine syncs with Wi-Fi. So it knows what day it is and what time you like your juice. And that way also, there's a barcode reader in the machine that scans the date on the packet. So if the packet's expired, it won't squeeze it for you.
That's right.
And
Because humans can't read.
It costs several $100 plus the juice packets. And everyone was like, they were saying like, this video people are posting where they cut it and they squeeze it themselves. And we're telling you the juice isn't going to taste as good.
Nah, it's good. It's not going to be good for your juice. Look, listen to me. I'm an expert here.
And they had raised so much money.
$120 million.
$120 million.
From companies like Google.
Right.
They were like, yeah, sure, sounds great.
And people were just like, there's no need to make this. If you figured out a packet system where you can ship me a packet of juice and I can squeeze it, maybe that's a business. But their business was like the $600 tabletop machine.
Right.
The appliance.
Right.
And it just went under, unsurprisingly.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there watching Lion King and I'm like, I feel the same way. In a certain way, if I had a juicer machine and I had it make me a glass of juice, I'd be like, this is juice. I'm drinking this. This is satisfying.
What about the QR code?
Right.
Come on.
And the more they tell me, like, the code! The pneumatic press!
You could set alarm for your juice.
Yeah. I'm like, I also can go down to my local bodega and they just, like, put some shit in a blender and I drink it.
And it's 100 times cheaper.
Right, and it's, like, the same quality.
Yeah.
Or I could learn how to do it perfectly, make my own artisanal juices, like, I don't know, hand animating the Lion King. Like, if I really care about getting this thing right.
It is just, but it's like Ben said. It's like, because like, if they had just re-released the great movie, The Lion King from 1994 in theaters, it probably would have made a lot of money for a re-release. Probably
They did it in
They've done it,
2011.
and it
They
made like
re-released it in
close to
3D.
$100 million.
Correct.
Right. And if they'd re-released it again, they probably would have got a little more juice.
Yeah.
a
A row.
little more juicero out of
Pneumatic
it.
press.
Yeah.
Or
Extremely
make a
goofy
new movie.
Sure.
in the universe.
Yeah.
Like,
Right. Sure.
whatever.
Right.
Like,
But-
there's a million other
I mean,
yeah,
things.
same
there's
with the Lion Queen.
I'm
David's
seeing David is being
pointing.
given the key to the city.
Robert De Niro is pumping his fist.
Mayor Bill de Blasio, what are you doing here? He's shaking David's hand.
Go fucking run the city, you maniac! Bill Blasio, I used to know him. Back
used
when I
to
was a
hang with
reporter, I did.
He was a co-host on Night Cheese, right? It's you and Sonia and De Blasio.
I used to cover. He was city councilman for the general.
Remember
Welfare
when that
Committee.
was a bit that I was jealous that you had another podcast?
4 years ago.
And who won?
It I guess Griffin did.
Congratulations. Here's the key.
Oh my God, de Blasio shaking my hand.
But the simple fact that
Yeah.
they spent, $250 million making a fucking, faithful free CGI
Yeah.
rendering of this movie means that they unfortunately will make billions in profit.
By the end of this
Right.
weekend, they will have likely made close to $500 million.
Yeah.
It's already been in China for like 10 days. It's made over
It's doing
100,
good.
whatever. It's going to make 200 in this weekend in America alone.
Now, is it going to be the most successful movie ever made?
No, no.
No.
And
No.
here were the two cornerstones of my argument for why I thought it could end up being the most successful movie ever
Your
made.
argument,
It was my argument.
where you were like, Lion King hit plus Beyonce.
The musical, look at how well
Right. Look how
Jungle
well the
Book
re-releases
did.
did. Right.
it feels like they have this technology
Right.
down.
And as I consistently pointed out to you, even if you tripled the amount of money that these other things made, it would
Yeah.
not come close.
And look, I'm not going to engage in a hypothetical scenario here.
Uh-huh.
But I think if this
And
movie...
I also think that Beyonce's impact on things is overrated at this point. Although I have tweeted that and gotten yelled at, but her last couple albums have not sold that well. I think the Beyonce thing is not quite the phenomenon it was 5 years ago.
David, people can hear you.
David
Fuck.
is cupping his hands around the microphone.
Literally just got shot in the face with a gun.
By Bill de Blasio.
You're in league with the Bayhive! No wonder you don't care on the subway.
His name was Bay de Blasio all along. That tall motherfucker.
He's tall.
He's
Taller than
really
me.
tall. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's very tall.
I thought you were the number one tallest.
No, who's the rare person I would have to interview where I would have to hold my microphone up.
Yeah.
That's
That's why Night Cheese didn't last. Your arm got tired.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's why Night Cheese did.
You had to hold one up and one down. You're all
Doing a lot
stretched
of
out.
physical humor on this podcast. What were you gonna say? Come on.
More physicality than The Lion King.
Yes. I think if this movie had been just
I missed
hit the
it.
backboard.
Yeah, it was okay.
I think if this movie was executed at the level of The Jungle Book, it would have had a real run at being the highest grossing movie of all time. I don't even think it needs to be
you ain't
exceptional.
right.
And I also think if Beyonce actually felt like she had any impact on this movie. When she starts speaking, which takes an hour and a half.
Yeah, well, this is the thing.
She's
People
got
are
less
like,
than 10
she's
lines.
playing Nala. And I'm like, have you seen The Lion King? Adult Nala has 2 lines.
And I gave them way too much credit.
Adult Nala's fucking role is she's just like, Simba, come back to Pride Rock. And he's like, no.
It's Moira Kelly? Is that who plays
No, Moira Kelly plays Sarabi.
Oh, right.
Who does play Nala? Am I right about that? Or
I
maybe
think
it is Moira
is
Kelly.
Nala.
Yeah, I always forget who plays. No, it's no, Moira Kelly. It's
Okay.
Moira Kelly. Oh
Okay.
yeah, it's someone else played Sarabi.
Okay.
Sorry.
When they announced that Beyonce was going to do it, I thought there is zero chance they are hiring Beyonce to do as little as Nala had to do in the original film. I gave them way too
No,
much
you're
credit.
thinking about it the wrong way. Their pitch to Beyonce was like, honestly, the whole thing will take fucking 2 days.
Yeah.
Like, we'll do it in your car. It's fine.
Yeah.
Just be like, Simba,
Work around
what
your
the
schedule.
heck?
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, Simba, what the heck? And they were like, great, here's $20 million.
I thought she was going to really hands-on produce the soundtrack.
Yeah, she did make this thing. That she made a soundtrack.
But it's
like a
different.
curated.
It's an album. She
It's
did
sort of
a,
like how
a companion album.
Kendrick Lamar did that with Black Panther, where there was like the score,
Right.
but then there was also this like curated soundtrack.
Jay-Z did it with
Right.
American Gangster.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
She's copied that model. I'm sure it will sell very well and everyone will be happy with it. I thought she was going to...
Cover sales been down recently. If you check her last
Jesus
couple albums.
Christ.
Oh, I've been shot again.
Bill de Blasio.
Sorry, go on.
More like Buckshot Bill de Blasio.
Mm.
I thought they would give that character more to do. I thought they would find, especially because, I think the common accepted stance is that the young Simba stuff is the best stuff.
Yeah.
The movie kind of peaks with Timon and Pumbaa.
Mm-hmm.
Can You Feel the Love Tonight's a jam. The Mufasa in the cloud scene people love. But the end of The Lion King is a little perfunctory in terms of just like getting through the stuff.
The end of Lion King is not very good. The movie certainly probably peaks with the Stampede.
Yeah.
That's like the emotional and visual peak. And then the Timon and Pumbaa stuff is fun. And then the last half hour is pretty boring.
Hakuna Matata. But I think the movie is,
Hakuna Matata is good.
despite not being a movie that I love or have an immense amount of nostalgia for, watching this and even just like running over the story beats in my head, I'm like, it is kind of a perfect object. It's a film with like such narrative power and economy.
It looks great. I think
Yeah.
it's a great looking movie.
No, but you just look at that as a text and how well it works on stage and how well it works in film. And
Yeah,
it's
sure.
just like, it's a really classical, clean story. It has every type of element in it. It has thrills. It has romance. It has comedy.
Gene Shalit's here.
I'm roaring for this Lion King, and I ain't lying. I'm telling the truth that I liked it. 2 paws up.
All right, well, Griffin, do you have any time to go to the post office?
Me? No, never.
Okay.
Never.
You're busy.
I'm busy because I got to make an embarrassing confession. I'm so
waiting.
embarrassed that I'm going to lose this Lion King bet that I have personally bought $200,000 worth of Lion King tickets.
Sure, that may have been an over-investment considering you're looking more for that movie to make like billions of dollars.
Yeah, and the show got canceled. My job got canceled. So I don't have time. To be honest, I'm either at the movie theater
Sure.
or I'm at home trying to buy more tickets.
And I know something else about you.
What?
Well, you've been mailing a lot of Forky merch to a friend of ours.
This is true.
That's true, isn't it?
Katie Rich, friend of the show, past and future guest. Back when we were fighting the Great Forky Wars of
That was
2019.
right. Another past war.
I wanted to win her son, past and future guest,
Charlie Baltus.
Charlie Baltus, over. So I've been sending him for Forky merch.
Yeah, you've been sending him everything Forky's face is on, essentially.
And he brought Forky with him on vacation.
Yes.
She's been sending us photos.
Yes.
It
Brought him to
rules.
school.
Forky rules.
Forky's great.
And you love him.
But I do love him. But what I'm trying to
your
tell,
husband.
yeah, sure. But what I'm trying to tell you is that you don't have time for all that traffic
don't.
parking, lugging your mail and packages because it's a hassle.
But I got to get the Forky merch to Charlie. He's relying on
So
me.
you've been using Stamps.com, the most popular time-saving tool for small businesses.
Forky Hot Wheels car. It looks like Forky.
It
Forky
eliminates-
Mr. Potato Head.
Sure.
I got him a beanbag plush Forky.
Did you?
Yeah. Got a make your own Forky kit. A Forky t-shirt.
So what's so
Forky
great
headphones with little
is
Forky lounging on top of the headphones.
Stamps.com makes it so easy. You can print and mail packages directly from your home.
From
right?
your computer.
From your computer.
Yeah.
You sit down at your desk, you print out labels. Now here's the deal. They also have a scale.
Yeah.
That's true.
So all these different products that Griffin is sending along,
If
he
you
can
wanna-
easily
right.
weigh them, get a label.
Yep.
If you want to weigh a, let's say, pull and go Forky with wacky walking action, you can do that.
You get 5 cents off every first class stamp,
Mhm.
up to 40% off priority mail.
Mhm.
And once your mail is ready, after you print out your official U.S. postage, you just hand it to your mail carrier or you drop it in a mailbox. It's that simple.
So you're saving some money after dropping $200,000 on tickets. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, not to mention the amount of money I'm spending on Forky merch.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, right now, our listeners can get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale without any long-term commitment. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, type in check.
Wait, I'm doing it. It's not working.
You're tapping on the microphone.
That's a
It's
real.
Stamps.
clicking.
It's a picture of a microphone
It's Stamps.
on the website.
Maybe you should have specified.
Well, go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone, and enter check. That's Stamps.com, enter check.
Very rude thing for you to prompt when I'm sitting in front of a microphone. You knew I was going to do that.
I think Timon's cool.
Timon is very cool, and Billy Eichner kills in this movie.
It's
It's
two things.
weird how hard he kills.
It's two things. It's one, he's doing a good job and he's funny, and I think
Yeah.
it's a pretty committed performance. But two, it's also just like you've been wandering in
You've
the
been
fucking
starving.
desert, and then
Yeah.
he shows up like 45 minutes in, whatever,
I think like an hour.
Yeah. and is like doing new material, and you're like, oh my god, oh, you wrote this for this movie,
Right.
oh, give me more,
I would say it's-
Rogen's funny too. I think Rogen's
very good.
funny.
Rogen's
Yeah.
very good. He knows his role.
Yeah.
He's playing off him really well. They have really good banter. The two of them recorded together clearly. And I imagine the two of them sat together and worked out bits. Weren't just improvising stuff, but came in with shit.
And there's some like I genuinely think the line where Simba's like, oh, the circle of life, and they're like, I don't know where you got circle from.
Yeah.
As like people who are lower on the food chain. I think that's funny.
Yeah.
And they
Like,
talk
it's like-
about
it's
how
like a
life
line.
is
It's like a
meaningless.
meaningless
Right.
line.
That's
Everyone's
good.
trying to get everyone else. There's
Right.
no circle.
Right.
Moron.
That was funny.
They're really funny together. It feels like they have slightly different takes on the characters while
Exactly.
fitting into the role. They're bringing their own energy to it, their own personas to it.
Anytime Rogan laughs, that wonderful laugh of his,
Yeah.
it's kind of amazing because you're like, look.
Now these are
A
some.
warthog.
This is like one of the best duos.
I mean,
like all time.
look, Timon and
I
Pumbaa.
love
they're just classic comedy. Like you
Tango
got
and Cash.
a little guy.
Timon and Pumbaa.
You got a little guy and a big guy. You got
Yep.
a high status guy and a low status guy.
Yep.
You have the bossy one. I mean, they're like an animal, like odd couple, you know? Like
Yeah.
literally, they're like Felix and Oscar. Like you
Here's
have the
the
slobby one and the kind of persnickety one and
Yeah,
what have
that's
you.
true. Yeah.
But the thing that's nice about Timon and Pumbaa is they're an odd couple who really like each other. They don't fight much.
No, they're a good
Every
couple.
once in
They're
a while
on
they'll
each
note
other's
each
side.
other, but they're like really united, which I think is what pushes them
Dude,
over the edge.
So David's putting
I'm
on,
showing him the clip of the new movie.
Yeah.
20.
and it looks like a video game, like in between, like
Uh-huh.
the scene.
Cuts.
Yeah, cutscene. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the other problem is that I find the environments in the new movie pretty boring.
Yep.
It's often looks
Looks
just kind
dark.
of washed out. Yeah, I mean, this is a desert scene.
Looks very real.
The original Lion King
to-
has a very expressive use of color and light.
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
And this movie does not.
No.
Save for at the end when the fire is going.
Even that's
something like Be Prepared, which like gets like very sort of.
well, it's
like,
got the green mists and fires and
Right.
things like that.
This movie mostly takes place in just like broad, harsh, unsparing daylight, like
Yeah.
just Sahara sun. And this is one of two moments where I started to flip out and go like, "What the fuck is going on here?" Is when they get to "Can You Feel the Love Tonight?" The
Woo!
entire song takes place around 1 p.m.
That's right.
and Eichner's singing his heart out.
Yep.
Can you feel the love tonight? And they are in like horrible, oppressive heat
It's
underneath a wide open,
the middle of the day.
a violent sun.
Now here I am. I'm reloading.
And then they do a time lapse cut, and you're like, finally, we're gonna get to
We're
night.
gonna get to
No,
nighttime.
it's like 1:30.
Yeah, right. They had lunch.
Yeah.
I'm watching the original movies
Yeah.
version, and right, it's like it's set at sunset.
It's hot. You want to see these lions fly?
The sun's going down, and then right, the sun sets.
Yeah.
and there's that moment where Nala licks Simba.
Yeah.
and then kind of gives him bedroom eyes. And as a kid, you're like, "What's going on here?"
And
What
then
is
this happens, and you're just like, animals are weird. Why do animals do that?
Mhm.
Like, it just seems like, I don't know. It doesn't have any personality behind it.
Yeah,
But this Timon and Pumbaa section was like, if everyone involved in this movie had taken the job the same way that the two of them are taking it, where it's like, cool, we know what the thing is. Now we're going to try to make our own thing that doesn't betray what people like about it.
Right.
Like, start over from square one. Because I'd say Timon and Pumbaa, 90% new material in this movie.
Yeah.
In terms of dialogue.
there's some of the classic jokes, mostly not. Yeah.
Whereas James Earl Jones had to re-record his entire role
The poor man's 88 years
as
old.
the only actor reprising his character from the original. And I swear to God, there's not one thing, without knowing the movie encyclopedically, there's not one thing he says that I don't remember being said word for word in the original
Largely,
film.
I believe you are.
They don't add scenes. They don't add meaningful new character dimensions.
Someone
And
else.
You're like,
Go-
he could have died. They could have pulled the audio files and it would have been the exact same performance.
Someone
just
else
reanimated.
who's doing new material that I was less enamored of is John Oliver as Zazu.
Yeah.
His stuff is just not that fun.
Our audience was really into it.
I think it's because he's the one who's doing jokes in the
Yeah.
middle of a boring fucking movie.
I didn't hate it, but the Timon and Pumbaa stuff's got life to it. It's got a pulse.
Rowan Atkinson is almost underrated in Lion King.
I
He's
think so.
so fucking
He's
funny.
really good.
And yeah, Oliver was. I forgot that they cut to a crying Timon. It's good.
Yeah.
The original one's pretty good.
I'll say this too.
Good movie.
Timon and Pumbaa, they anthropomorphize a little bit more. It helps that a
Timon is
meerkat can
humanoid.
stand on its
Exactly.
hind legs.
Yeah.
But there's even timing stuff with, like, there's that scene where Timon keeps on popping his head up
Yeah.
and behind the rock
Yeah.
because he's afraid of Simba. And there's, like, shit where they add, like, recognizable physical behavior
Right.
into it. And, like, that section's kind of jamming. And at that point, we weren't going to love this movie, but we were both laughing a lot. And we were like, this is pleasant to watch.
Yeah. It's a couple
I'm
guys.
watching a thing that's engaging, right?
Right.
Then the Can You Feel the Love Tonight thing happens.
Ugh.
We get adult Simba who becomes immediately less expressive.
Yeah, and I think Donald Glover pretty much phoned this one in. I'm sorry. It wasn't very good. He's not very good.
I agree. I don't think he's bad. It just feels like
it's
he's
close
kind
to
of doing the
bad.
basics.
Yeah.
But he looks almost identical to Mufasa, which I know is supposed to sort of be a plot point, but you literally can't tell them apart. And the other thing is,
Looks like a lion.
at least when he's a baby lion, baby animals have larger, more expressive features.
They are cute.
so that they don't get eaten by predators.
Right.
And even during I Just Can't Wait to Be King, which is just them slowly walking past the animals that used to do exciting things in the previous version of the film.
Yep.
Like, I was just like, even if they're not going to dance, have him stand on a fucking giraffe's back. You know?
Sure.
Like, even if you're going to keep them slightly to, like, the rules of how these animals move, like, have the flamingos, like, all, like, move at the same time. You know? Even if it doesn't look like fucking Busby Berkeley.
Or instead of them, like, just, like, grazing, have them working, digging, you know, with the Flintstone style. You know? Have them doing
When they're
stuff.
like, it's a living.
Yeah, they should all say it's 11.
Yes.
But I was saying, it's like all the musical numbers in this are shot like a Aaron Sorkin walk and talk.
Yes. They walk around.
It's just them sort of slowly walking and the camera, like, you know, like
following them.
steady cam, like backwards tracking with them as they walk through the Sahara, and not even walking like it's not like their paws are hitting the ground on the beat. They're sort of just like stepping at their own pace.
God, this movie's draining. It's so fucking boring. I hate Scar. I'm so mad about Scar.
Can you feel the love tonight happens? We're like, what the fuck?
Oh, Ray, you want to get to your final rant? Yeah, you
Who
should.
cares? This is so stupid.
At this
I can't
point,
believe they're
I'm
doing
just disconnected from the movie.
Me too, but it's drawing no real ire from me. I'm just like, this is so silly. What a fucking waste of time. What a juice roll machine. And then we get to the scene.
Remember who you are.
Right.
That scene.
Maybe
The cloud scene.
You know, like
You got Rafiki, played by legendary South African playwright John Connie.
I want to say
in his like fourth appearance in a Disney movie in recent years. Third.
one of my favorite things about The Lion King is Rafiki. I think Rafiki is my favorite character.
Sure.
The Broadway musical does great shit with Rafiki, expands that role, always has it played by a woman.
Sure.
Opens the show with Rafiki.
Yes.
But
She kind of sings Circle of Life.
yes. But there's this
Robert.
beautiful thing with Rafiki where Rafiki is like a reverse Yoda.
Yeah.
Where at the beginning of the movie, you're not hearing a lot from Rafiki, but you're seeing a lot of Rafiki, and he just seems unbelievably noble and stoic and powerful and wise. And then at the end, when he comes to Simba, he's like fucking insane goofball lunatic person, like the way Yoda tricks Luke at first. And he's like doing bits and he's like, you know, all that sort of shit, which is so much fun. Robert Guillaume's doing it. He's killing it.
Benson.
John Connie in this movie is doing a very respectable, restrained performance.
There's a lot more respect for it just feels like they want to avoid any kind of stereotype.
Yeah.
And I understand that. It's the same thing they did with Scar. It's the same thing they did with Jafar and
Same
Aladdin.
thing they do with the hyenas in this too, where
Yes.
they're all like, Eric Andre gets like a couple half jokes in. Keegan-Michael Key plays one of them, and it's unclear what his bit is because they don't want him to actually be scary. But he's also not really funny. Eric Andre's playing the equivalent of Ed, the one who always just laughed, and now he's just the dumb one.
Yeah, that was not
And then,
helpful.
what's her name, Florence Kasamba?
Yeah, she plays the main one. And it's like, Whoopi Goldberg's kind of amazing in The Lion King. And this is where, like, but she's sort of like half funny, half serious.
Yeah.
This is just, she's just
It's pulling
serious.
off
She's just scary.
neither. Right. And it's this weird, like, she's got this weird specific thing with Nala at the end of the movie. She's like, I'm going to eat you. I've been waiting for this my whole life.
Yeah, that just felt like them being like, let's give the female voice characters a little more of an arc.
But you have the Rafiki thing. And I'm
Fail.
just like,
all right, so the Rafiki thing is whatever.
and I said to you, who should have played Rafiki? Danny Glover.
I love it, but I love Glove.
You love
I
to
like
put on the
Glove.
glove. As
Yeah.
you said,
Glove fits and I quit.
always.
Always. I'm fully canceled.
So he does the like, no,
You got shot again.
he's still alive. He's still alive. Look, he lives in you. And he points up to the clouds. And I go, okay, at least this is going to be this sort of transcendent moment,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
Of like emotional, sort of ecstatic truth. I can't wait to see how the cloud, they pull it off.
Right.
Guess what they do? They don't put his face in the fucking cloud.
No.
What do they put?
They show you a cloud.
It's a cloud.
They
Now,
show you
Griffin,
a sky filled with
Griffin,
clouds.
It's a cloud. It's stormy.
The lightning
and when
strikes.
the lightning flashes, looks like a little face for a second there. Oh, what? What? Oh, Griffin's taking it back and he's realizing it was truly majestic.
Ben, no exaggeration.
Yeah, so I'm just sitting there
There will
being
be
like,
an infinitesimal, a millisecond long lightning flash in which you can see 5% of his face. Just the vague sense of maybe that's a cheekbone.
Is this a prank?
It felt like it. And I just went, what the fuck are they doing?
now, at this point, when I'm watching the movie, I'm sitting next to Griffin, I'm just like,
I don't care.
boring. And
Yeah.
this is happening. I'm like, yep, that's boring too. And Griffin, suddenly it feels like, whatever, the straw that broke the camel's back. Suddenly
Yeah.
he just won't tolerate this. He's like, he's sort of like gesticulating at me, like, what is this?
What is it?
And I'm like, I don't know. His fucking face is in the cloud. What do I?
And I was
care?
like, buddy, it's not.
Remember.
What the fuck are you doing? Why
Remember
even
that
show
Simpsons
up if you're not
joke?
ready to play? Why make a fucking Lion King movie if you're not gonna? As you said, they fucking everyone parodies the father's face in the
Simpsons
clouds.
joke when it's like, this is CNN. And
Yes.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It's one of like the most iconic visuals of the last 30 years of film.
Pretty
It's the
iconic.
dad's face in the cloud.
Yeah, and that shot of Simba going like, remember
Yeah.
they use that in like memes all the time. I feel
Right.
like
And they just are like, it's
remember
kind of
Remember when
unrealistic.
Rafiki beats up all the hyenas?
I mean, in real life, a real lion's face wouldn't appear in the clouds. Like, I don't give a shit.
That's actually a great point. Not photorealistic. So they didn't do that. They did a storm, and it was great. And then Simba, he goes back to Pride Rock, and they fuck up Scar. Hyenas eat him. I mean, it's the problem with the original cartoon too. It's like the whole thing where it's like Scar's like, your dark secret is you killed your father, and it's like
In front
he
of
was, like,
everybody. Yeah.
he was there during a stampede. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, how is even childish Simba going to be like, yeah, I'm responsible. Yeah, I should probably.
Yeah.
I've never loved that. And then people are always like, oh, the Lion King is like Hamlet. No, it's not. No, it's not. It'd be like a prequel to Hamlet.
Yeah.
Hamlet begins with the dad is dead.
Yeah, it's just the uncle stuff.
Yeah, it's just that there's an uncle who killed a dad, and they're like, oh, we're really inspired by Hamlet. No, you're not. Fuck off.
Okay. Well,
It's not. It's a ripoff of that Japanese cartoon.
yeah, Kimba.
Yeah, Kimba the White Lion.
Kimba the White Lion.
And Disney was like, no, it's not. It's not a cartoon, not a ripoff. What are you talking about? And you watch Kimba the White Lion has like the same rock,
Yeah.
like
And it was originally Simba the White Lion, and then they made him yellow, and then they called it the Lion King.
yeah, and I mean, like every Japanese person apparently who saw the White Lion King was like, hey, is this Kimba? And they're like, no, it isn't. And Japanese people were like, oh, I think it is. I remember Kimba the White Lion. It looks like this, except he's yellow. And Disney was like, no, it's not. We're not talking about it again. Fully original. Hey, fuck the Lion King. Whatever. I like the first one. It's okay. Saw it when I was 8 years old. My mom had to take me. My dad was living in England at the time.
2 direct-to-video sequels.
Mm.
I feel like the second one didn't have...
Saw it at the
was,
Lowe's 84th.
Oh, congrats.
Thanks.
Very hyped up. Unlike Return of Jafar, which made like a big cultural impact, I feel like no one has any memories of Lion King 2, Simba's Pride.
I know some people who are nostalgic for that.
Really?
one. Yeah, because the kid is cute.
It's the new kid.
And then there's Lion King 1.5.
No, I feel like more
which
people
is like
that one.
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern with
you know
like
that?
Timon and Pumbaa.
There's a Timon and Pumbaa movie that is Lion King told solely from Timon and Pumbaa's perspective.
I like that.
It's supposed to be really good.
Is it?
Yeah, I know people who say it's really good.
You do?
It's like the one direct-to-video sequel from that era that's supposed to be
It's
interesting.
funny too because on the cover,
What's not Pumbaa?
and he's big.
Yeah.
Pumbaa's the bigger one.
Yeah, and he's struggling.
They try to make the fucking empowerment thing with Pumbaa in this movie, that they're fat-shaming him, and that's how he gets the courage to stand up, because even though he's cowardly, he hates bullies. The thing I kept thinking about was, like, imagine the person who's like, "Oh, fuck, honey, I'm gonna miss dinner. I
I'm going to miss the next 3 years of dinner.
I can't get the lighting right on this rock."
Right.
You know, like, you watch that and you're like, there are individual people who care about what they're doing in this movie.
Of course. I'm sure it was worked on very hard. It looks like lions in a desert and stuff, and like I can't believe we're at that point where we can do this. It looked, it's very
But also,
impressive
to
that they
what
can replicate
end?
this.
Why do I need a machine to make me the fucking juice? I can squeeze it myself.
Why do you need a machine to make you the fucking juice? But what if like Jeff Nathanson, who wrote this film, did a great job. He did a great job watching The Lion King.
Screenwriter of Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah. What if he came in and he was like, Griffin, look, I was having a hard time and like, I made a couple $1 million in this
Yeah.
movie and now I'm doing okay. Would you be like, all right?
Listen, I can copy and paste a screenplay and like add
I just
some
want
stuff.
someone to give me reason to like be like, all right, well, whatever. Like someone, because my kid was sick and I made a lot of money and then my kid's better. I'm like, all right, cool. Glad you made it.
Donald Glover went on Jimmy Kimmel to promote it wearing a full lion costume,
Yeah.
which was kind of fun.
Kind of funny.
And he seemed a little embarrassed to talk about the movie.
Sure.
But he had one really good anecdote,
Okay.
which they were like, so is your son excited? And he was like, my son like weirdly loves The Lion King. I don't show him a lot. We don't like have screens in the house. We don't watch TV. David's rolling his eyes because David shows his kids screens all
When
the
I have a
time.
kid, I'll be like, yeah, like two when they're 2 years old. I'm like, all right, so the NYPD Blue is kind of the midpoint between Hill Street Blues and like the modern cop show, like
Kinda
The Shield. You know.
tape an iPad to your child's
Exactly.
hand.
So like, we'll do seasons 1 to 6 or 7. We'll see. I mean, and then we'll work on more Milch. Like, it's like, Daddy, I want to watch Peppa Pig, and I'm like, yeah, but David Milch is really foundational. Peppa Pig has a lot to do with David
Peppa
Milch.
Pig has no integrity. But he was like, my son weirdly loves The Lion King. That's like one of the ones he watches. And I wasn't telling him that I was in it because I didn't think he could grasp the concept. I don't know what they do or how movies get made.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be a nice surprise to just take him to see it and then afterwards try to explain it to him. And so I was like, hey, do you want to go see the new Lion King?
Sure. Then
Right.
I'm in.
No, he didn't
He
say
didn't
that.
say that.
That's the joke.
Okay.
Is he says like, do you want to go see the new Lion King? And his child, who's like 3 years old, goes, oh yeah, Beyonce's in there.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
And he was like,
And Glover was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I mean, I guess she's in it.
yeah, that was his joke. He's
Yeah,
like,
barely
you know,
noticed.
Daddy's in that. I don't know how you know who Beyonce is.
What if the kid was like, oh, I hear John Connie's in it.
John Oliver is this? It's kind of an interesting choice.
Oh, yeah, I can see how John Oliver is kind of this generation's Rowan Atkinson. Sure. Yeah, right.
It's weird, just like the game now. And we're going through it with Little Mermaid, where it's just like
Yeah,
it's like a fucking BuzzFeed community article
really
every
is.
time, where it's just like, okay, so who is our generation's Buddy Hackett? Aquafina? Who plays a flounder? I don't know, Tremblay.
He's good casting.
Yeah, he's good
Tremblay is
casting.
basically a living flounder.
He's good casting.
All right, let's never talk of this movie again. I hope it fucking gets forgotten
It's gonna
immediately.
make
I
$200
mean,
million.
But doesn't he have to like, because he missed the bet, doesn't like something happen to him?
We never set the terms of the
Right,
bet,
I
but
get
you
to-
can. You
Well,
can,
I was going to say,
Get his nudes.
I'll go get a
You
cup
get
of
my nudes.
Oh. I was going to say, I'll go get a cup of milk.
Oh no!
I'm not gonna make him drink milk.
Oh no!
You know
make-
me.
No, I get to do a Batman Forever episode or whatever. I don't know. We'll figure it
okay.
out.
We'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll figure it out. You get to do something stupid.
I mean, unless it breaks the record.
Well, oh boy. I mean, how awful it would be to be proven right
You're right, exactly. What a
at
horror
this
show.
point.
It becomes a country.
But-
it makes so much money. They just own countries now.
Yeah, the nation of Lion King. But the stat I read is that Disney now controls 33% of the domestic box office, and that's
yeah,
pre-Fox acquisition.
yeah.
And they now have 7 of the top 10 movies of all time. If you
Eh.
include Avatar.
It's it's my take. It's the
Yeah.
same take I've always had. Everyone's freaking out, but wait till 2020, baby.
I think movies are going to die in 2020.
Sure. Right, that'll be good.
I think we're all going to die.
We're all
No,
good. No, that's going to be 2021.
Man, we gotta live forever.
But if Lion King is 100 on the scale of how realistic we want to make our computers work to replicate things that we could just film.
Right.
Right? What's the most literal-minded, stripped of any sort of interesting creative choices? There's another movie that in terms of digital fur technology is going the exact opposite direction.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Is jumping headfirst into the uncanny valley and going like, let's creatively Artistically.
fur.
make the weirdest series of decisions to adapt a thing that most people think doesn't really hold up, is not this immaculate work. And that is the film Cats.
Fur.
Fur, 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 fur.
I don't know.
I'm Rumble Teaser. I'm a cat.
Are you? Now, all right. I want to come out of the gates with my hottest take. I already said it on our Kiki's Delivery Service episode, but you ain't getting that for 2 months, so
Okay.
you're getting this now.
Sure.
Jennifer Hudson, who is playing Grisabella in Cats. Am I correct that she's playing Grisabella? Yes. Looks like Salazar. It's played by Javier Bardem. Hola, Jack Sparrow. In Pirates of the Caribbean. Dead Men Tell No Tales, a.k.a. Pirates of the Caribbean Salazar's Revenge. Where her face just kind of looks like half of a face.
Yes.
It's just sort of half face. And they just kind of like put her human face sort of in the middle of it. You know what I mean? And then they're like, yeah, and put some whiskers on it. Yeah, okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
it just looks like she's not filled in.
It makes me like kind of like nauseous a little bit.
And I love it.
Now, I saw this trailer. This trailer hits the world.
The world
while
explodes.
I'm commuting on a subway.
We were blessed with this trailer playing before The Lion King last night.
That
it did get the biggest response
We'll
of anything.
get to that. It got the biggest response of anything I've ever seen in the history of film.
I've never seen an audience react to anything the way I saw
it
it.
did get a genuinely fascinating reaction. We will talk about
Yeah.
it. But I saw it on a subway, so I just loaded it on my phone. It was all grainy. And I was like, well, that looks fucking terrible. That looks demented.
Yeah.
Then I get home. Joanna said, and I just put it on with absolutely no warning. I was like, I'm putting something on immediately.
Yeah.
Watch it in high def, and I'm like, okay. Okay. It looks like something.
Yes.
It does look like something.
Yup.
They're too small, maybe, or something. I don't know what
way
this world
too small.
is, but it does look like something.
Yes.
I still think that it's possible we will be like judged as a species. Like that this will be like the final feather on the scales.
There's been all this news about actual UFOs, right?
Yeah, right.
Like,
the aliens are
they're going to be like,
or
all
beyond
right.
hope.
Because they're slowly getting us comfortable with aliens. At this point, the New York Times is running another UFO story
every week.
2
They're
months.
like, yeah, Trump said a racist thing, and also there's another trove of Navy videos of aliens. So here that is. You can watch it anytime, and everyone's like, Trump did what now?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like just one of those Air Force videos. It's like, and the guy's like, what's that? Wow, aliens. Crazy. That's nuts.
Wait a
Thing's
second.
moving like an alien spacecraft.
He just tweeted Kofifi.
And then the ship crashes. What does Kofifi mean? Ah! Now, but before we talk cats, before we talk about Tom Hooper's Cats, which is probably going to be one of the films of 2019, let's talk about Mubi.
Well, you know I love digital fur technology.
Sure.
And the thing I love about Mubi is, unlike some other streaming services, where you got stuck with the same options over and over again, if anything, you're just losing options all the time, rarely getting replaced with new good things. Mubi's constantly got 30 movies for you to watch.
That's right. It's a curated streaming
Carefully
service.
curated. Every day, one goes, new one comes in.
That's right. There's always 30 different films to discover. Every day they premiere a new film. It might be a timeless classic, might be a cult favorite, might be an acclaimed masterpiece, might be something you've been dying to see, might be something you've never heard of, but there's always something new to discover.
So let's pull up
Here we go.
the movie list right now and see if any of their films cover digital fur technology.
Okay.
Because last I checked, they didn't, but their new films ever did.
Well, Guy Madden's The Saddest Music in the World, which have you seen that? Where Isabella
Yes.
Rossellini plays a sad lady whose legs are made of beer.
Yes, I have seen this.
Great movie. One of my favorite
I'm
movies.
sorry, what?
She's got her two legs are big beer glasses filled with beer.
Okay.
So that movie has analog beer technology. But they don't have
Making
any
a
digital.
note. Right.
We've got Rick Alverson's The Comedy, prep
yes.
for his new movie, The Mountain.
Yes.
The Comedy, I think, is his best movie with Tim Heidecker and I've got James Murphy from LCD Sound. That is a dark movie.
Woo!
I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah,
good.
very
Pretty
Ben.
great.
Very Ben.
Very, very Ben.
Very
They put up
Ben.
a bunch of Julia Lockdev movies. Have you seen The Loneliest Planet? That's a good movie.
No, I've been meaning to see that one for a while.
Yeah.
That's
I
good
don't want
to know
spoil
that's
it
on
for you.
Mubi.
Day Night, another from
Yeah.
movies is up there.
That one I saw. I saw Day Night.
Oh, cool,
Yeah.
sure. Dr. T and the Women. Robert Altman.
Oh, and Altman I've never seen. I've yet to tangle with Dr. T.
Andrew Bajowski's Mutual Appreciation,
I
a
love that
classic
movie.
I love that
mumblecore
movie, too.
film.
I just rewatched this.
Yeah.
Because I have Mubi.
Yes, you
And
do.
It's so good.
Bajowski rules.
Bajowski does roll.
Hey, you know what his next credit is?
Lady and the Tramp.
He wrote Lady and the Tramp.
Digital
Whoa.
fur technology. I think if you watch the movie like this, if you listen to
Elvis
this
Strung
pod-
Out, maybe?
Elvis Strung Out, the Mark Oliver documentary.
Well, I'm saying for digital fur technology.
Oh, sure.
He's got a main.
Anyway, they got a lot of good stuff right now. I'm going to watch Dr. T and the Women when I get home. I've
Oh
never
my
seen that movie.
God, speaking of
So-
digital fur technology, who is it but the cineast cow here in beautiful photoreal digital fur technology?
I'm so ready to go home.
Anyway, try Mubi free for 30 days at Mubi.com/check. That's Mubi.com/check for a whole month of great cinema for free.
MUBI.com/check, to be clear.
This is a great sponsor.
Well, the cow hasn't even said anything.
Sign up.
No,
We
it
love
doesn't
movie.
speak.
We love movie. They're our
And-
favorite sponsor.
and it-
We're
I
abiding
love
by
all
the
of
It
it.
will really,
rules of-
that will really help support the show.
This cow is not going to do anything a real cow wouldn't do.
That's right.
That's creative.
Hey,
I like literal-minded
I can squeeze
movies.
some milk out. You could drink it.
That's disgusting.
All right.
So the Cats trailer is at the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yep.
Where even if it looks like another crime against humanity, it's the kind of crime I respect.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I do.
It's the difference between like a quadruple homicide and like an insane like robbery.
Okay.
Interesting.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Like, one of them's
in that,
kind
like,
of
it's a crime, but at
dehumanizing.
least it's sort of creative.
You're like, oh my God. And they like had to like hide out in the walls or like go undercover as this or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm sort of like, you know, in an era in which things are, I feel like getting very safe
Yeah.
or weird in just boring ways.
Sure.
This is a movie that's fucking swinging left and right.
I also think
I've never seen anything that looks like this. I
never
don't
seen
like it necessarily, but I can't look away. I watched the trailer 12 times.
I've watched it
yesterday.
so many times.
I can't look away.
So you've got these. All right. So the thing is that fundamentally,
Yeah.
Cats is an absolutely bonkers work of art anyway.
Right.
Andrew Lloyd Webber was charmed by these old T.S. Eliot children's poems about cats
With no narrative.
with no narrative to them.
Mhm.
He put them all to music,
Yeah.
and they're weird.
Right.
And then he wrote one other song, Memory, that's like kind of a banger
Yeah.
that ends the show and is, you know, like a classic old ballad.
Yeah.
The plot is that it's a bunch of fucking cats who live in a garbage dump,
McCavity.
and they argue
Jenny Annie
over
Dodds.
which of them gets to go to heaven
All Deuteronomy.
and be reborn as a new cat. Have
Just
you
the
seen
theater
Cats?
No.
Buster
That sounds
Jones.
batshit crazy.
It's batshit crazy. It's one of those things that's
Bumble
kind of
Arena.
like probably best when it was on Broadway. Like it was
Growl
probably
Tiger.
yeah, sure. Keep going.
No, I don't want to interrupt you.
You know, it was probably
Grisabella.
best for kids. But it has
Mr.
that weird sort of
Mistopheles.
cult following where people would see it over and over again.
Rum Tum Tugger.
Rum Tum Tugger is kind of
Tanamile.
it's so weird anyway. So
Angus
I feel
Trap.
like it's just that a Cats film will be weird.
Griddlebone.
It should be weird.
Rumple Teaser.
You know what I mean? Because Cats is weird.
Shimble Shanks.
Are you done?
And now, so they wear leotards and they have like hair,
Mungo Jerry.
right? That's their look. And they have painted faces in the Broadway play.
Jelly Laura.
Yeah, they wear leotards with sort of patterns on them. They've got some makeup. They got some fur.
Syllabub.
Now, in this version, are you supposed to want to fuck the cats?
Gurkhapat.
There's definitely going to be some new or existing subculture
Yeah.
that has that concept.
Correct.
I don't know.
Correct.
But so it's like the cats kind of look like humans, but if the humans were covered in fur,
The
and-
fur is digital. It's not makeup. They
It's digital
filmed
fur
it on
technology.
set.
It's digital
I mean,
fur technology. Let's be honest.
But that's what I find fascinating is it's not like these are like photoreal mocap versions of these actors. These actors gave these performances and then they like digitally painted fur on top of them.
Yeah,
Like Andy Serkis always says, like motion capture, you should think of it like digital makeup. This is the first time anyone's actually just done digital makeup to this
Sure.
extent. You know?
Yeah, it's directed by Tom Hooper, who is at this point just a garbage man, right? I mean, I don't know.
Yes.
I actually kind of like The King's Speech. I like The Damned
fine.
United, but I mean, Les Mis is awful, and The Danish Girl
Can go fuck
is
itself.
sinful.
Yeah.
And not because it's about a trans person. I'm realizing it. Danish Girl was about a trans
Yeah.
person. It's sinful. No, it's just an abhorrent
it's
piece of
horribly
movie
made.
making.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cats. I guess. I mean, Cats is bad.
I just like
It's bad anyway.
In
What are
a-
you gonna do?
in
Fuck
a-
it up?
in a world, right, what are you going to do? You fuck it up. It's not a sacred text, right? And B,
Some people.
in a world where Favreau is too afraid to put Mufasa's face in the clouds, here's a movie that is seemingly unafraid
We'll
of
put a face on anything.
anything.
We'll put boobs on him too. You
Has-
will?
has no shame.
You want it to have a nice ass and a tail? We'll do that.
Here's a great point
The
that
tail
someone...
could kind of be like going into the ass in a weird kind of a way.
Do you like that? Yeah, you do, you
I'm
dirty
like,
viewer.
I don't like that. I'm like, yes, you do.
You know, David's whipping the table. You know how tails usually kind of above the butt.
That's true. That's
Wha-
true.
what if this tail looked like you were pooping it out?
Woo!
That made
It
me
suddenly
cough
got
my
kind of
vape.
hot and sweaty in here.
Yeah.
So we see this trailer. We go sitting down in front of the Lion King. We're like, oh, fuck this bullshit.
And I say,
And we're like,
I
maybe
hope
we'll
they
get the
play the
Cats
trailer.
trailer. And I'm like, oh, it just premiered.
That's the
You
thing
think
we're
so?
excited about.
And then,
The prospect.
yeah, we see a trailer for. What were some other trailers we saw?
Well, we saw the Mulan trailer, which we both agree.
Mulan trailer got a
ruled.
good reaction.
People are angry about the
I'm
Mulan
into-
trailer online because it looks, quote, disrespectful to the original Disney
I don't know who
film,
you're quoting there.
unquote. I did a little Twitter search of Mulan when it came out, and the response was overwhelmingly negative. People said, why did they make this? Why does everything look different? Why isn't Mushu in it? Why not use the songs? This is disrespectful. Why bother? These are the exact people who are going to push The Lion King to $650 million domestic.
Right.
Whether or not they really enjoy it, that's what they think they want to see.
Yes.
Mulan looks awesome.
Mulan looks good. I'm trying to think what other trailers we saw, but I can't remember. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
Because I saw the Art of Self-Defense at Alamo, and
Yeah.
like they showed the Star Wars trailer.
Really?
And it's weird that they did it in front of the Lion King.
There was a moment where I thought there was like a false alarm. I thought it was maybe the Cats trailer, and now I can't remember what. They played the Down Abbey trailer, which is also incredible.
That's bonkers in its own way.
Be there in the morning.
But Cats, the trailer plays.
Yeah.
The second the trailer begins, the audience is like,
Dun, 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 dun. Like the first couple chords.
Wait, Cats in a movie? Oh my
They're
God.
kind of like, I've heard, it's sort of like, it's like the emperor is coming out naked, and
Excuse
everyone's
me.
like, what's he doing?
Excuse me. The Universal logo.
Dun, dun, dun.
When they cut to the image of
Francesca Hayward, who's playing Victoria.
right, the audience simultaneously applauds and laughs.
Yes.
Like people were like, "Yes, we got it."
They spend the whole trailer kind of laughing derisively, but also kind of into it.
Like stunned, like
and,
cheered.
right. And then the title comes up, and they applauded because it was sort of like, look, what can I tell you? This is my reaction. It's like, I'll see it.
I can only imagine it's similar to the response you would get from the audience at like a Tijuana sex show.
It's one of
Where
those
people are grossed out, they're entertained, they're turned on. Like every sound was being made.
It's one of those things where, like, I feel like in a couple months, everyone will be like, well, yeah, because that's what Cats looks like. We know. We saw the trailer. We're used to it at this point. And we can't let that happen. We've got to hold on to what's happening right now, where we're just like, nothing looks like this. What is this?
It was amazing to come home and 12 hours later,
Yeah.
after the trailer had premiered, after I'd seen it in the theater,
Right.
still my feed was just 32 seconds ago, 45 seconds ago, 1 minute ago, 5 minutes ago.
Fucking Cats, man.
Right?
We're all talking like Martin Sheen and Apocalypse Now, where we're like, God, those cats. I can't escape them. They haunt me.
It was unbelievable, but I will pick that any day. Jabuki Young White, the comedian who's
Love
on The
him.
Daily Show,
We love him.
he changed his Twitter account to @CatsMovie. Or no, I'm sorry. He kept his username the same,
right.
but the display name was Cats Movie, and he changed the logo. And he tweeted, "Do you have it here, David?"
No. You're good.
Okay. He tweeted, "This is Twitter, a website that is overrun with Nazis, harassments of all sorts." Jabuki Young White was immediately banned from Twitter for posting, because he's also verified. He's got the check mark, right? So it's @Jabuki, but it says Cats Movie, check mark. And his tweet is, the tweet is, "The Cats in Cats 2019 will have..."
Realistic spiked penises. That's what they'll have. Got little spines on their dicks. To scrape the semen out from other competitors.
His account was just suspended
Suspended
within the
immediately.
hour.
Oh, boy.
It kind of feels nice to have something that like everyone can agree on, which is just like, this is fucking weird. What the fuck is this trailer? But I was like, the trailer comes up, we're getting ready to watch The Lion King, and I say to you, if Lion King is 100 in terms of trying to replicate the natural world,
Right.
and Cats is a 0 in terms of going as unnatural, like hell world as we possibly
Cats isn't
can.
even a 0. It's like a series of like hieroglyphics that are red, that mean like
Right.
the world is ending.
I think I want Lion King more in the cat zone than what we got.
Right. You'd like Lion King to be more like going for 20.
Yeah.
I don't know.
30, 40 even. Even if it was 49%.
Hell, give me 60.
Yeah.
Cats.
I'll say this.
It's
I'll
about
say this about
cats.
I'd love a fishbone.
You keep coming back to this.
I love a fishbone. They're street cats.
The problem
are.
Give
They're-
me some trash.
The problem is now they've made them so humongous. There's that shot of her with the knife and the fork,
Very weird.
where the knife and the fork each look 5 times the size of her entire body.
The perspective, though, seems solid.
Well, you know what they did? They built fucking humongous sets which I love. That was the other thing. Ugh,
It's like the
Universal-
Gallagher special.
Universal, they fucking set this joke up so well because they released the video 24 hours in advance. That was like the famous Les Mis, let's brag about shooting
Right.
everything on set,
Right.
doing the songs live, and Eddie Redmayne talking about the fragility of the performance 3 times in a row, right?
Yeah.
He uses the word fragility. They did another one of these videos, but it was just the cast in like their movement clothes.
Yeah.
Either on set or
In,
in
like,
rehearsal
leotards.
spaces. Not in like motion capture suits, but seeing how big the fucking sets are, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
They rarely do that anymore.
Yeah.
They rarely make full fucking insane sets like
This
that.
is my favorite Jabuki tweet.
Twilight New Moon kicking Citizen Kane in the chest.
Good tweet.
And then the poster came out where from behind you see the one Victoria.
Yeah, the ballerina cap.
And people were like, huh, that's weird how defined her butt and womanly curves are.
And then they released the trailer, and the world went blind.
Yes.
It was fucking Bird Box all over again.
Now, here's what I love
They'll
about it.
clawed our eyes out.
Someone tweeted this, and I realized, oh, this is, among all the other things, one of the elements that makes this so unnerving. They didn't give them cat noses.
No, they human.
They
Human
spent
face.
so much time and energy putting cat faces on human bodies and then giving human bodies cat fur. But the one thing they
Wild.
could have done is just give
Tired.
everyone a little pink at the end of their nose.
Because they do have whiskers.
They have whiskers.
Yeah,
They have whiskers coming out of their face. They have tails coming out of their butts.
Yeah,
Their
they do.
noses, the exact same color as the rest of them.
I do think, and that fucking video, behind the scenes video, is so funny because they're like, we're like people, but we're also cats, and I'm like, don't know what that means.
'Cause
And
when
then they were like, do you see?
Tom Hooper
It's like
signed
fucking
on like
Francis
3
Dollar.
years ago. And when they announced that he was doing it and Spielberg was producing it, they were like, they will now establish a committee to decide whether the film should be live action, fully animated,
Right, somewhere in
motion
between.
capture. Like they were like, we don't know.
And then a guy comes in, a visual consultant, who I think was worth every penny they spent on him. He
Yeah.
came in, he was like, dunk, dunk, hola, Tom Hooper. Do you see my face?
Salazar.
See, it's like the Sprite commercial.
For the listeners at
Break.
home, it's Salazar.
He's like disintegrating face.
Shakespeare.
Hola, Steven Spielberg.
Our old friend, Salazar.
I need a co-producer credit.
I don't know. I mean,
Salazar. Whew.
like you said in the Kiki episode that we just recorded,
Mm.
that the Jumanji movie that's coming out
That's it. That's the bellwether.
for the
That's
future
fucking
of
Missouri
cinema.
in a presidential election.
outside of the like 4 silos that Disney has.
Yeah.
Right? That seem like
if that one
unstoppable.
hits, then Hollywood's like, okay, all right.
The rest of us
We
still
have some
potential.
idea of how this works,
Right.
right? Right. And if that, like, what if, but here's the thing. If that hits and Cats fails,
Yeah.
I think people will be like, all right, I wouldn't
Yeah.
have predicted that, but okay.
Yeah.
If that misses and Cats hits,
Yes.
it's like, okay, there's still money to be made, but I don't know how we
How?
make it. Like, I don't know what to do. At that point,
Right.
you need, like, Mad Men running the whole, right? Like, we made a horse the CEO of Disney now. He'll make the decisions. If he clomps twice, we greenlight it. Who knows?
I just think the joy I felt watching that Cats trailer and the audience response to it, it was then like after the Mulan trailer, they applauded, but it felt like them being like, well, now we look like assholes if we don't applaud at the thing that actually looks good. And then the Lion King applause felt more like, as you said, this Pavlovian thing
Yeah,
that
100%.
disintegrated as the movie went on.
Yeah.
And it was like, look, you can say it works or it doesn't, but there was a genuine energy happening in the theater during that Cats theater
It was electric.
trailer that I've been missing.
It was
I've been
electric.
missing in my
It
life.
was like being electrocuted.
it was.
Cats!
I'm dying to see it
Theater's
now.
always today.
It's like one of my most anticipated movies because I'm just like, I don't know what to make of this fucking thing.
Cats. It's about cats.
Now and forever.
Do you know that scene that I'm referring to in Angels in America? It's an
I
iconic
don't
scene.
remember.
Early on, Pacino,
Mhm.
Roy Cohn is on the phone with his, with some Republican's wife,
Mhm.
and he's like trying to get her tickets to like a Broadway show, and they're talking about like, and he's like, Lacage. Now you wouldn't like Lacage, and like then he puts the his hand over the microphone. And he's
Yeah.
like, have you seen Lacage? It's fabulous, And then he's like, let's try and get her something. And the assistant calls back and it's like, cats. He's like, cats. Ugh. Cats! It's about cats! You'll love it! Singing cats!
I honestly think probably 95% of the success of Cats was just that it was called Cats.
It's about cats.
Like, don't you think...
You know what else
What?
has a fantastic poster? One of the great
poster's
posters.
incredible. With the eyes?
With the eyes, and like the eyes are kind of dancing, and you're kind of like, ooh, this looks like dark and mysterious. And then you sit down and someone's like, Rum Tum Tugger is a curious cat. And you're like, what the fuck is this? I remember my dad saw it alone, and like he came back, and my mom was like, "Why did you see it?" And he was like, "I just kind of like wanted to see what the deal was." And she was like, "Did you like it?" And he was like, "No, like I didn't like it."
I was saying to you last night, I've never seen a production of Cats.
Yeah.
Didn't see it on Broadway. Never seen it at a school.
There's like
or
a
camera or
pretty
anything.
definitive, like sort of filmed version of it that
Right.
you can watch.
Right.
Yeah.
None of that. None of that. None of that.
Right.
I never stop finding Cats jokes funny. Anytime anything or anyone references Cats, I find it hilarious. Anytime anyone says the name of any character from Cats.
Teaser.
I mean, come
Buster
on.
Joe.
Come on. I'm not faking this.
Isabella.
Like, it's like, this is like
Old
automatic.
Deuteronomy. Mordecai. That's one of the cats.
Is one of the cats actually named
No.
Mordecai? Okay.
It'd be funny though. Oh, boy.
So excited. Okay, so I want to ask it now.
Okay, we're wrapping up here, I assume.
Would you be willing to see Cats in 40X?
Do you think it'll be available in 40X?
I think it would.
Sure. I mean, I assume I'm going to go to a press screening of it that will not be in 40X, but if Cats is in 40X, and I have a feeling it won't be because Star Wars will probably be taking its the 40X space. Sure, I'll see Cats in 40X.
Okay.
So the entire time it would just smell like garbage.
And
You're in a dump. Pump more garbage.
Cat piss. They spray cat piss in your face.
Well, we did it.
Stuff. We did it. We did your Lion King, your blessed Lion King episode, Griffin.
It's probably going to be huge.
It's probably going to be huge. Probably going to be the biggest podcast of all time.
Yeah, much like The Lion King. An inexplicable success.
Oh, boy.
I don't know. I just feel like we've been talking about it for so long, especially because of the
Bet.
bet, and also, it feels like really representative of where we are in the state of the film industry now.
Rum Tum Tugger is
Every
a curious
time they
cat.
do one of these fucking things about, like, you won't believe this technology they developed.
You know what looks good?
What?
Top Gun. Top Gun Maverick. I was telling you this.
I'm sorry, what?
Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, it sounds like you said DACA.
DACA. You know, looks good. DACA. I like that. Yeah,
He likes
protects,
DACA.
Protects people who've come to this country.
Yeah.
No. Top Gun Maverick.
See, I don't know if I think it looks good. I think the trailer's good.
Yeah, he's in the plane. He's flying around. Looks cool. I'm
Yeah.
all for it. I like it when people fly in planes and I'm not involved.
I guess Ad Astra is your most anticipated movie the rest of the year, right?
Yeah. That thing.
Dad Astra. We got that trailer.
Have you seen the new trailer?
I saw the new trailer.
Pretty good, huh?
That looks great.
Looks pretty good.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't realize how much I miss Brad Pitt.
Oh, I agree.
Seeing those two trailers playing in theaters.
Especially because even the Brad Pitt we've gotten, like Big Short Brad Pitt, is him being like, can I just be weird?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've missed, like, I think that Ad Astra is going to be really serious Brad Pitt, locked up Brad Pitt, like sort of closed off.
Yeah.
And then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is more like fun Brad Pitt, you know, kind of sandwich eating Brad Pitt.
I'm not trying to get, because he hasn't, his last movie.
It was War Machine. We've had this conversation
Right.
on the podcast.
But I know, but what I want to see is like the last pure, right, Allied is the last sort of, but even that was him sort of buttoned down.
He's real buttoned
Then
down
Big
now.
Short and By the Sea aren't good examples. Fury, yeah, God, what a weird, man, I love Brad Pitt.
Me too.
It did. That's when that really snuck up on me. I never could have predicted he would have become someone I valued as much as I do now.
I was so fond of him when I was younger because 12 Monkeys was like an early favorite movie for me, like when I was like 13 years old.
Yeah.
And I love him in that movie. Now when I watch 12 Monkeys, I'm kind of like, Brad's a little much in this.
I agree.
I don't mind it because it's a very wacky movie, but like he's kind of one-dimensional in that.
He's
and
full
then Bruce
Gilliam.
Willis is kind of the great performer.
Right, and I think that's Brad Pitt really just trying to prove to everyone what he could do, which he did, and now he
got
gives
his
far
Oscar
more
nomination.
interesting performances.
Exactly.
He should have won the Oscar for Moneyball.
Yes, he should have.
God, is he good in that?
The greatest performance he'll ever get.
I think he's aging really well. In terms of him accepting what both Ad Astra and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood feel like they're tapping into, which is like this like golden boy who's like on the other side, the wrong side of 50,
Yeah.
and has this sort of like heaviness to him,
Right.
this weird sort of suppressed anger. I don't think he's ever going to be better than Moneyball. I think Moneyball is like the most perfect role he could ever have. He knocked it out of the park so hard. That movie rules, and
Does
instead
He hit a home run.
he hit a home run.
He did hit a home run.
And then Sean Duzran won the Oscar.
I'm watching
That was a baseball reference.
Moneyball also looks so good.
incredible looking movie. Who shot that?
Wally Pfister,
Good DP.
one of his few non-Nolans.
Okay, we're done.
Okay, thank you all for listening. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe. Thanks to Andrew Gooder for our social media. Pat Reynolds and Joe Bone for our artwork. Lane Montgomery for our theme song. Ben's looking at a screen. Is everything okay? Go to blankies.reddit.com for some real nerdy shit. TeePublic for some real nerdy shirts. Okay. And as always.